505 days, over 2,000 hours, 327 attempts. I've been doing difficult Nuzlocke challenges for a long time now, starting with Renegade Platinum and moving up to the very prestigious Emerald Kaizo. Although I beat most of them pretty quickly, and nothing ever really gave me that feeling of the impossible challenge, until March 17th, 2023, the day Pokemon Run and Bun was released. If you aren't aware of what Run and Bun is, it's in essence the single hardest Pokemon ROM hack ever created. The creator, Dexa, was mildly inspired by ROM hacks such as Emerald Kaizo and Radical Red, with a fresh take on the modern Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge. There are over 500 fights, each one handcrafted to be not only creative, but incredibly challenging. I set out to not only beat this behemoth of a game, but I intended to hardcore Nuzlocke it. This means I must play on set mode, I cannot use any items in battle, if a Pokemon faints, I cannot use it anymore, and if I white out, I have to start all the way from the beginning of the game. I spent so much time playing this game, trying my absolute hardest nearly every day for over a year to beat it. This is the story of my winning run, attempt 327. Chapter 1. Onward into the Light. Despite taking place in Hoenn, Run and Bun offers the player the 3 Sinnoh starters, Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. Throughout my 327 attempts, I've used all 3, but the vast majority of my runs were with the turtle. A combination of synthesis and shell armor was enough to sell me on the little guy, despite Piplup being my longtime favorite since playing Pearl as a kid. Although, anything but this ugly little monkey works in my book. My first set of encounters was pretty solid, with an incredibly high attack stat Starly, Growlithe, and Gossifleur being the 3 stars of the show. The Gossifleur line gets the ability Cotton Down, which drops the enemy Pokemon's speed by 1 upon attacking. Not just contact moves, any attack. This is incredibly powerful, especially in the early game. This game throws a ton of boosted speed nature Pokemon at you, so having this at your disposal is very important. This Growlithe, ironically, isn't actually very useful yet, but he'll end up being one of the most influential Pokemon in the entire run after getting our first 2 badges. Tympole is solid as well, while Lillipup is one of the worst encounters in the entire game. A good-for-nothing waste of my time. And I genuinely considered starting over my attempt immediately, because what the fuck? Despite the almost mental implosion, I pressed on with a fresh mindset that this could potentially be the run. With most modern Emerald hacks, the game physically prevents you from going over the next boss's level cap, and after prowling through this Aqua Grunt, we make our way to Dewford Town. That's right, Roxanne and Brawly switch places in this game, and Brawly is the first gym leader. I grab my next set of encounters on the island, including this 5% Krogunk, but decide to delay Granite Cave. This cave is full of some pretty solid encounters, but I have my eyes on one shiny, spherical prize that could single-handedly catapult this run into potential greatness. I just have to wait a little longer. In Slateport, I fish up one of the strongest early game encounters, Quillfish. This living grenade has great stats, a fantastic typing, and Intimidate, all 3 of which make it one of the best possible encounters for Brawly's gym. After breezing through the Slateport Museum Aqua Grunts, the level cap jumps to 21 for Brawly, giving us access to Celio and Eldegoss. More importantly though, Route 110's encounter gives us a guaranteed electric type, some of which can have the ability Static. If you weren't aware, Static has an overworld effect, where if you lead the Pokemon with Static while encountering a Pokemon, it boosts the chance of that encounter being an electric type to 50%. This is why we delayed Granite Cave. Mareep is one of the 2 static chances, and I use this to successfully nab the single best encounter in the entire game. Togedemaru is so unbelievably good. It can't be overstated enough. I actually recently put out a video going over why this little guy makes the original Pikachu look like a fraud. I'd really recommend checking it out. Brawly is the first major white point of the run. His team is downright unfair for this point in the game. Lopunny with 140 base power Retaliate, a chance to get 2 boosted Retaliates with its eject button, Hitmontop that can Pursuit Trap you if you're not careful, a chicken on steroids, and a very sleepy Scraggy that loves to click rest while also having a 1 in 3 chance of waking up due to its Shed Skin ability. Anyway, this team is loaded, and half the time you're packing shit like Remoraid and Clauncher, and it's just really not fun, dude. Speaking of Brawly, what the hell is this guy wearing? Like, that fits kind of some ass, dude, I can't even lie. If only there was some way that our guy Brawly could pick up some fresh new clothes at a discount while also supporting their favorite creator. What if I told you this was all possible with the sponsor of this video, Into the AM? Do you like this jacket? Like, this looks pretty sick, right? Or this shirt? This looks pretty dope, right? Yeah, right? You like it? You like it? Seriously though, massive shoutouts to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. I've known about Into the AM for a while now, and being able to represent a company whose products I genuinely enjoy means a lot to me. Most of their products are clothes that I would honestly wear in my day-to-day life, and it's all incredibly comfortable. Between graphic tees, bomber jackets, joggers, boxers, button-ups, and more, Into the AM has a ton of amazing clothing options. Like honestly, you're bound to find some stuff that you really enjoy. Be sure to use code Squerk for 10% off site-wide, or you can click the link that I'll leave in the description. I also get a small commission if you click the link or use my code, which helps tremendously. Alright, now let's kick Brawly's ass. There are some good leads for this Cubfu, like Fletchinder, Kadabra, Prinplup, and even Dottler sometimes, but I don't have any of those, and I had to use Eldegoss. Part of what makes Run and Gun so addicting and fun to play is its consistency. The way the AI works is really interesting. For example, when the AI knows that you see a fast KO and it has a priority move, like Sucker Punch in this case, it'll pretty much always click it. I abuse this by clicking Sing with Eldegoss and giving myself a guaranteed turn of Cubfu being asleep. This not only keeps Eldegoss healthy for later, but it looks really cool and it breaks Brawly's ankles. I pivot into Togedemaru on the incoming boosted Retaliate and Fake Out to activate the eject button, as Brawly swaps into Combustion. A pivot into Quillfish on double kick for an Intimidate gives me a free switch into Palpitoad on either Work Up or Thunder Punch, and Palpers drowns the chicken with 2 Bubble Beams. In comes Lopunny for a second boosted Retaliate, and once again Togedemaru takes it like a champ. A few swaps between Togi and Krogunk until Krogunk can KO with Vacuum Wave takes down the Lopunny, bringing in Brawly's most threatening Pokemon, Hitmontop. To put it lightly, this thing is fucked up. It does a ton of damage, it's bulky as hell, and I could count the Pokemon that can counter it on their own on one hand. Surprisingly though, Krogunk does pretty well, especially if you get the Poison Touch proc like my little Jim does. She tanks the incoming boosted Pursuit as I switch into Quillfish, and down goes Hitmontop. We're in a really good spot here at this point. Just need to get through Scraggy and we're golden. After chunking it with a Revenge, I'm forced to risk my Quillfish on a critical hit that KOs half of the time, and a Revenge into Poison Fang finishes off the Lizard. Lastly, Poliwhirl gets a 1v1 by Grotle after dodging a freeze, and just like that, 1 badge down, 7 to go. It's worth mentioning here that Run and Gun gives the player access to limited resources in the form of heart scales and rare candies, 30 and 14 of each respectively. You also have the Endless Candy, which is basically just an infinite rare candy, but the individual sweets placed around the map allow you to level up past the current level cap. This is really useful, especially in the early game. After sailing back to Route 104, we head north towards Rustboro and pick up a Carnivine in the woods. Not a great encounter, especially on Turtwig runs, but it'll make for a great sack later. Unless you pick Chimchar as your starter, it's generally pretty important to have a decent fighting type for Roxanne, and even though Dewford guarantees a fighting type, Krogunk isn't really going to cut it for this one. Route 116 gives me a chance at either Tyrogue or Makuhita, and I land the Tyrogue, which evolved into Hitmonchan. Route 115 to the north could be delayed till after getting Surf, but I decided to try to fish up something that could give me a safer Roxanne, like a Clamperl or a Krabby. I got Clauncher though, and while I love this guy, he's definitely not very useful for Roxanne. Roxanne's team is the one that got all those little Redditors angry when the game released. A Zygarde in the second gym? It may look pretty crazy on paper, but this is probably one of the more tame gyms in the game, ancient power boosts aside. I lead with Hitmonchan to safely 1v1 the Bisharp with a Fake Out Mach Punch 1-2 combo. In comes Zygarde, and a switch into Eldegoss drops its speed and baits an incoming Skitter Smack into Celio. My good buddy clutches up and brings in Aurorus for a random move. A safe pivot into Eldegoss guarantees a Body Slam into Togi, who can easily slice through it with a Metal Claw, bringing in Solrock for a Stomping Tantrum. By the way, how does this thing stomp? Like, it doesn't have feet. It's not even touching the ground. How does it stomp? Another pivot to Eldegoss drops its speed and allows for some synthesis spam to pile on even more drops. From here, Grotle can outspeed and stay relatively healthy with Mega Drain, while still having enough HP for Caracosta in the back. Roxanne's most dangerous culprit is next, Lunatone. This set is straight up evil. You can't hit it with a super effective move, otherwise you activate Weakness Policy, giving it the chance to sweep your entire team with stored power. Hypnosis means you have to equip a Chesto Berry, Icy Wind to drop your speed, and even then, it could still hit the 10% Omni Boost, which is nearly a guaranteed wipe. Yet another reason why Togedemaru is so valuable, especially in the early game. It's one of the best counters to this Lunatone with Eerie Impulse, which lowers the opposing mon's special attack by 2 stages. I originally didn't really know what to write here, but my good friend Wacko told me to say, in the end, it was Lunatone who got mooned here. Leave a comment if you have any idea what the fuck that means. All that was left was Roxanne's final mon. From here, a single dodged Ancient Power boost allows Grotle to clean up and secure us our second gym badge. 2 badges down, 6 to go. Remember how I mentioned Growlithe not reaching its full potential until getting the first 2 badges? Meet Hamilton. He's actually so cute. Look at him. You're all required to pet Hamilton in the comments. I do not make the rules. Oh, and while you're down there, make sure to subscribe. Hamilton really appreciates it. The added rock type might seem like a hindrance at first, but in a Nuzlocke, this is surprisingly a massive deal. Having a 4 times weakness in these difficulty hacks offers very consistent baiting of moves, in this case water and ground type attacks. On top of its defensive capabilities, Hisui Arcanine just so happens to be nearly the perfect counter to some early and mid-game demons, on Norman and Flannery especially. The new level cap of 32 also gives us access to Clawitzer, Stoutland, Crawdaunt, Toxicroak, and Ampharos, which is a pretty massive power spike compared to what my box was like prior. I also pick up a Teddiursa in Rusturf Tunnel and a Petalil in Verenturf. Route 117 can be kind of a slog. However, this double battle at the end of the route is one of the hardest fights in all of early game. The gimmick is this Emolga that spams Discharge, which gets stronger every turn due to its Metronome item, combined with Lightning Rod and Volt Absorb mons. Since this is the first real tough double battle in the game, I think this is a good opportunity to talk about how the AI works in Run and Bun, and also how this translates to double battles. It's important to note a few things. Firstly, the opponent always knows your exact stats on any given turn. With this in mind, it also knows exactly how much damage it can do to you, if it's faster than you, and whether or not it can KO you. When choosing what Pokemon to switch into next, the opposing trainer follows a score system. I'll throw the system on the screen, but to put it simply, the AI always switches into a mon that can outspeed and KO whatever mon you have on the field. If none of the trainer's Pokemon fit this requirement, then it goes to the next highest score, which would be a slow KO, and so on and so forth. If there are multiple Pokemon on the enemy trainer's team that have the same score, it goes in party order. Now, how this translates to double battles is only slightly more complicated. The AI chooses which Pokemon to switch in based on whatever Pokemon is in the corresponding slot to whichever mon you just fainted. For example, my Togedemaru is in slot 1 after KOing the Emolga, and Marowak sees a slow kill, whereas Lantern does not. Since Emolga was in slot 1 and my Togi is in slot 1, it switches in a Pokemon to counter my Togedemaru. There's a lot more that goes into the AI in this game. I mean, this entire document created by the community to help fully understand why the AI makes certain decisions. But at its core, this is how the game makes its decisions. One of the most notorious fights in the entire game, however, is a brand new fight specific to Run and Bun, against the recurring character Shell. This fight is actually sickening, with her nearly guaranteed crit Togekiss, 140 base power Last Resort Delcatty, and Galar Slowbro, whose Quick Claw, Quick Draw combination activates like over 40% of the time, and can even trap you with Whirlpool. Good luck with this one! Thanks, Dexa! Thanks, Dexa! I lead with Hitmonchan to Rock Smash her Lapras for a defense drop, and KO with Brick Break. Togekiss comes in for an Air Cutter, and a pivot on Togedemaru allows Hamilton to get in for free on a Heat Wave. Had Hammy taken a guaranteed Air Cutter crit, he would have taken too much damage and wouldn't have been able to safely 1v1 the Demon Egg plane. This baits Delcatty, which is probably the biggest problem for my box. See, I don't actually have a very good normal resist, and Togedemaru has to do so much already on this fight. I decided that my safest play for this is to fraud the shit out of it by dodging a couple crits with Quillfish and Hitmonchan. But it works due to the plot armor or something like that. Clawitzer can easily 1v1 the Rhydon, although the AI has a slight chance to click Stealth Rocks over a slow KO. But thankfully Rhydon didn't go for it. Vespiquen is easily countered by Togedemaru, but I intentionally didn't kill it so that I could always bait exactly Zen Headbutt from Slowbro. Crawdaunt taking a potential Whirlpool on the switch in leaves him in danger of Poison Jab crit, so being able to get in for free is crucial. From here, a single knockoff gets the job done, and one of the most RNG dependent fights in the entire game is cleared without a single death. The level cap jumps to 35, which lets Staravia, Hamilton, Petalil, and Celio evolve. And I decided to use one of my individual candies to evolve Grotle at level 36. The player can use one heart scale to relearn a move or maximize a single IV, or with 3 you can change your nature. I also decided to use my first heart scale of the run on Torterra to learn Synthesis. This helps so much with Watson. Also, this fight is literally nothing, but I just think it's so funny that Wally has an overleveled Kirlia and a level 7 Zigzagoon. Like, he's exactly like us when we were kids playing through Emerald with our level 100 starters and the rest of our team was a pile of trash or whatever. Watson is one of those fights where it's for the most part completely free with Torterra. This fight looks hard on paper, and honestly it can be if you don't have a strong ground type. But Torterra really makes this a piece of cake. A fake out from Togedemaru breaks the Magnezone lead sturdy and always baits either Discharge or Explosion, neither of which Torterra dies to. An Explosion would put us pretty low on HP, but as long as Torterra can come back in on a Thunder Punch from Electros, I can always heal back up with Synthesis and not be in any danger. Magnezone thankfully doesn't blow up, and Tort takes it out with a Stomping Tantrum, bringing in Rotom Fan. Hamilton was originally my counter to this, but because of a max roll Discharge, it puts me in range of one overlapping roll of Plasma Fists from Zeraora. Thankfully, it went for the more likely close combat, and Toxicroak tanks it while also getting a Poison Touch proc on the fake out. From here, a few pivots between Quillfish, Tort, and Togedemaru passively whittle away at Zeraora until the poison takes it down. In comes Lantern for a Discharge, and Eldegoss soaks it up. By getting the Cotton Down speed drop and chipping with Leaf Tornado, another pivot into Quillfish on either Thunder Wave or Ice Beam once again lets us get Torterra in for free, who now outspeeds and KOs Lantern. From here, all that's left is Electros and Ampharos, and since Torterra sees that it's faster and has a 2-hit KO on Electros, it can never click Coil. It's also definitely worth mentioning that when deciding which Pokemon to bring in, or when choosing whether or not the AI can set up, it always sees your absolute highest damage roll. So even though Torterra only 2-hit KOs with its highest rolls, Electros won't ever set up. By alternating between Seed Bomb and Synthesis on the Eel, Torterra stays healthy enough not only to keep its Cherry Berry, but not be in danger of dying to Mega Ampharos' Dragon Breath crit due to Mold Breaker. Torterra KOing 4 Mons while assisting in another is pretty standard for this fight, and with that we obtain our 3rd gym badge. 3 badges down, 5 to go. Oh man, Norman split. This one is a doozy, to put it lightly. Wait, I actually wrote likely when I was writing the script. Keep that in, I meant lightly. The 2 boss fights in this split are 2 of the hardest fights in the game, proportionally to the tools you have, and it's especially difficult with Turtwig as your starter. After Watson, you get the Bicycle, which allows you to head southbound through Cycling Road back to Petalburg City. On Cycling Road, however, lies the single hardest early game fight, Cycling Road Rival. All 3 rival fights have different teams depending on what starter you pick, but the Blaziken team if you pick Turtwig is easily the hardest. There really isn't a single Pokemon in the entire game that can counter this thing on its own, except for a Talonflame with a decent attack stat and literally the highest possible speed stat. Blaziken aside, the Indeedee lead can be really frustrating. It's pretty likely to click either Light Screen or Reflect if it doesn't see it KO, but even then, it can sometimes click an attacking move. There also aren't exactly a ton of encounters at this point that can outspeed and KO it. Floatzel, Boltund, and Sharpedo with good enough IVs can do it sometimes, however. I chose to lead with Seismitoad and spam Brick Break, hoping that Indeedee doesn't attack, and this motherfucker hit 2 crit Brick Breaks, like holy, this guy's insane. A pivot into Eldegoss and another Trop Kick drops Serena's speed and baits a triple Axle, letting Walrein come in for an Encore. Oh, by the way, I used my 2nd heart scale to teach Encore to Walrein. Serena falls, bringing in Blaziken. I really don't have any options in my box for the chicken, and you gotta do what you gotta do to keep the run alive, so we have to say goodbye to Seismitoad here. She's not a bad Pokemon by any means, but it was the only sacrifice that really made sense, and the rest of my box can make up for what Seismitoad brings to the table. Rest in peace, my good froggy pal. Qwilfish slides in to pick up the Revenge KO, bringing in Kingdra. This thing is surprisingly a massive threat sometimes. Sniper, Dragon Dance, and Scale Shot is a pretty nasty combo, but Torterra with Synthesis and Shell Armor does the trick just fine. A series of similar pivots between Walrein and Eldegoss drop Weavile's speed enough, setting up perfectly for the KO and for Togedemaru to easily clean up the Alcremie in the back. Okay, one of the biggest roadblocks of the early game is down, and it went entirely according to plan. Seismitoad was a necessary sacrifice, and the run is looking fantastic. The split only gives you 1 encounter in Altering Cave, and I pick up a Magneton with very underwhelming IVs. Magnezone is a great Pokemon regardless though, so I really can't complain too much. Norman is extremely notorious in the run-and-run community. Half of this team is downright unfair. Let's start with Diggersby. Diggersby is one of 2 Pokemon with a single stat change in run-and-run, with a 15-point buff to its attack stat. This is to compensate for the player not getting access to huge power, which doubles a Pokemon's attack stat. The messed up part is that the AI still gets access to huge power, giving Diggersby an attack stat of 142, which is higher than Ursaluna, by the way. Not to mention it has Foul Play, which uses your Pokemon's attack stat to calculate damage, so Intimidate isn't super reliable either. All of this combined with a Focus Sash makes this thing incredibly hard to play around, and so much of the routing for this fight revolves around how to consistently get Diggersby to be nice. And he's usually not very nice. Next up is Cinccino. If you weren't aware, the item King's Rock that normally evolves certain Pokemon has an additional effect if it's held in battle, where it gives any move a chance to flinch. This works especially well with Cinccino due to its skill link ability, giving it a whopping 41% chance to flinch with all 3 of these moves. Finally, Norman's ace, Mega Pidgeot. This bird straight up sucks. Cancel me if you want, that's just my frickin' opinion. It really doesn't have a lot of counters. A few mons like Auroras and Hamilton can handle it, but oftentimes you don't have one of those and need to sack into an electric type. And sometimes even dodge a crit from there. Norman can be a very sack-heavy fight, but a lot of the time, this is where your run starts to feel like it's truly off its feet. Norman leads with Porygon 2, which is a bulky nightmare to deal with. Hitmonchan gets a pretty massive Sky Uppercut crit into the immediate Thunderwave miss. Also, I just kind of realized while recording this, Hitmonchan has led like every single fight since I've got him. This guy's kind of a beast. But this fight's off to an incredible start so far. In comes Azumarill, everyone's favorite normal type, for a play rough. Qwilfish comes in to counter it, but unfortunately gets its attack dropped on the switch in. I started playing really aggressive from here, since the plan was to potentially sack Qwilfish anyway. That Qwilfish had really bad IVs, so I wasn't too upset about the loss. Remember, as long as the run is alive, with my important encounters still kicking, that's all that matters. Hitmonchan swaps back in as Norman foolishly switches to Diggersby. This allows Hitmonchan to get a free fake out to break the sash, followed by a switch to Lilligant. I decide my best play to keep tempo is to keep Lilligant in and click Entrainment, getting rid of Diggersby's ability and massively cutting its damage in half. From here, Hitmonchan switches back in, gets crit like an idiot, and takes down the rabbit. Meloetta is next for a guaranteed Relic Song, which transforms her into her Pirouette form. I swap to Torterra holding a Chesto Berry and start spamming Syntheses? I'm gonna go with Syntheses to drop Meloetta's defenses as low as possible, until I can eventually safely get the KO. This sets up really well for Cinccino to see a KO with Triple Axle, as I pivot into the single best counter to this little rat into the game. My own little rat. We're doing rat on rat violence. Iron Barbs obliterates Cinccino, forcing it to take massive damage just by clicking Tail Slap. With a Citrus Berry, this is completely safe, and it perfectly baits Heat Wave from Pidgeot, which is the safest move for Hamilton to switch in on. From here, a Rock Slide into Extreme Speed while holding a Person Berry is just enough damage to KO the evil bird, securing the 4th badge. 2 deaths total, 4 badges down, and 4 to go. Chapter 2. Into Enemy Territory. Flannery Split is a long one, with 4 pretty challenging boss fights throughout the treacherous journey. Our path begins with the Windstraits, a 4-trainer gauntlet where you can only bring 6 Pokemon, with no healing in between any of the fights. Most of this gauntlet is a complete cakewalk, but the final trainer's Mega Medicham can pack your box up faster than it would take you to follow me on Twitch, which is pretty fast, by the way. Like, you could probably do it in 10 seconds maybe. In fact, this guy packs my whole box up, so I ended up having to not only use a Heart Scale to maximize my Staraptor's speed, but also a rare candy. I'm willing to use whatever resources it takes to keep this run alive, however, since my box is looking fantastic. Staraptor gets the job done, and the goggles are acquired. This next section has a long stretch of desert trainers with permanent Sandstorm, and teams that really abuse it. There's Sandrushmons, Sandforce guys, Magic Guard and Overcoat Pokemon, and most terrifying of all, the Sandveil Bright Powder combination. These desert fights can be a real problem sometimes, especially if the first 4 splits weren't really kind to you, but thankfully I'm able to make it through without a single death. Torterra really puts in work here. I also got some new encounters, including an Onix and a Drillbur, the latter of which is an incredibly useful encounter. Back in Rock Sand Split, I actually delayed my Rust Burrow encounter so I could revive the fossil that you get in Mirage Tower. Doing this is important for 2 reasons. Reason 1, it's really fun to see which of the random fossil Pokemon you get. Unless it's Cranidos or Lileep, then it's kinda miserable. Reason 2, reviving the fossil is the only way to get access to the Desert Underpass encounter in Fall Arbor Town, so not reviving it is the equivalent of losing out on an encounter later. My fossil ended up being Kabuto, which I really wasn't upset about at all. This Kabuto, however, was the holy grail of all encounters. This thing's IVs were damn near perfect. You simply could not ask for a better Kabuto, and after an 8-hour stream going from truck to here, this was a perfect way to call it quits for the day. I woke up on day 2 bright and early, at the beautiful morning hour of 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, like a completely normal, well-adjusted person. The rest of the desert was kind to me, no bright powder shenanigans, and Route 113 was mostly the same. I pulled a Scorupi as my 113 encounter, which is potentially the best option here. Its IVs are pretty bad, but its typing combined with battle armor makes it amazing for a lot of really threatening Pokemon. There is, however, a double battle on Route 113 that's famously problematic. Meet twins Tori and Tia. These kids are easily the hardest battle on the route. A true double battle with a Shadow Tag Gothitelle in the back, combined with an Intimidate Scrafty and Dazzling Bruxish to negate all priority moves from your side of the field. I led with Lilligant and Parasect, with Parasect pre-damage to bait Psychic Fangs and Knockoff. Lilligant KOs the fish as I swap Parasect into Crawdaunt, which baits a fast KO from Gothitelle's Signal Beam. Since Gothitelle sees that it's faster than my Crawdaunt and slower than Lilligant, with KOs on both, it will always go for the KO on Crawdaunt. I take advantage of this by using Entrainment on Gothitelle, removing its Shadow Tag ability, allowing both of us to switch out, as Crawdaunt protects into the incoming Signal Beam and Close Combat. A double switch into Stoutland and Toxicroak puts the dog in prime position to land a 4-time super effective Play Rough into the weakened Scrafty. Bisharp comes in from here, and Stoutland sends a submission his way as Toxicroak swaps into Drapion on the Psychic. At this point, Stoutland and Drapion can easily finish off the Gothitelle. This double battle guarding Fall Arbor Town guards one of the 2 obtainable Shed Shells in the game, which lets you switch out regardless of whether or not you're being trapped. It's not incredibly difficult or anything, but it's definitely worth mentioning as a way to like foreshadow or something for later. The first boss fight of the split, Windstrait Vito. I think he wants to avenge his family after you killed them in cold blood. Not entirely sure on that one, but either way, this fight can be really problematic. In fact, I had virtually nothing to counter this Breloom. It was at this point that the entire direction of my run would change for good. I needed to find anything that could handle this demon mushroom kangaroo thing, and that answer would be found in the Mauville Game Corner. You see, after each time you obtain a new badge, the Game Corner offers a new set of possible Pokemon that you can get. For example, if you choose the Dynamo badge, you get either a Throw throw, or a sock. You can delay the game corner for a long time to get a guaranteed pseudo-legendary, or even a mythical if you wait till after the 8th gym. But I decided to flip the coin on the balance badge section, and take either a Heracross or a Pinsir. For what seemed like the first time in my entire life, I finally won a coin flip and got Heracross. No, like seriously, across these 300 plus attempts, I've tried to pull the heat badge section for a 50-50 between Larvitar and Beldum, and I've wanted Beldum every single time, but I've only gotten it once, out of like 9 tries. Vito leads with Alakazam, and I lead with Drapion. Rather than going for just a double knockoff to KO through Sash, I start with a Rock Tomb to outspeed the next turn, just in case it clicks Charge Beam. This ended up paying off since Zam clicked Charge Beam, and Drapion took the KO the following turn. In comes Swellow for a Boom Burst, and Hamilton swaps in to tank it and pick up the frag. This sets me up perfectly, since Crawdaunt comes out next to see a guaranteed KO with Aqua Jet, and since the AI sees a kill with a priority move, it will pretty much always go for it. This gives me a free switch into Eldegoss for the speed drop, letting me KO with a Leaf Storm. In comes Breloom for a Sky Uppercut, and it's Heracross's time to shine. One Aerial Ace falls the Roo, bringing in Crobat. It has a chance to Nasty Plot, but Hamilton's a beast and tanks all 3 of its moves even at +2 special attack. All that's left from here is Vito's Ace, Mega Aggron. This behemoth set is terrifying, but its main weakness is the fact that it doesn't have a rock move to hit flying types super effectively. The safest way to deal with this is to swap into Staraptor on either a Body Press or an Earthquake to get an Intimidate, and clean up with Torterra by alternating Syntheses and Earthquakes. Just like that, Vito down. Beating Vito gives us access to 3 encounters, Full Arbor, 114, and Desert Underpass, as well as finally evolving Onix so we can hopefully do something. I pull a Berserker in Fall Arbor and a Nidoking in Underpass, both of which are simply fine. On 114, I snagged a really solid Ribombee, the first fairy type of the run so far. Expert Nancy on this route might not look like much, but this Bronzong holds a very important item for the rest of the run. The Iron Ball halves the holder's speed and also makes them grounded. This might seem awful, but remember, being able to control the speed of any given Pokemon at any given time is massive. The catch? The only way to get the Iron Ball is from this trainer if Bronzong clicks Trick, which it's pretty likely to, but not guaranteed. This thing can attack you and it can explode, and there's not a ton of counterplay. Getting the Iron Ball is pretty crucial, and sometimes you just have to eat shit if Bronzong doesn't want to cooperate. Thankfully, Nancy decided to be nice and give us our ball. Route 114 guards a gauntlet that spans from 114 through Meteor Falls and down to Route 115 on the other side of the cave. You have to bring the same 6 Pokemon for all 7 of these fights, and some of these Pokemon can be really tough to deal with. Ribombee and Steelix were huge gets for this gauntlet, with Ribombee sweeping full teams and Steelix not having to worry about this Mux explosion. After pushing through the gauntlet, you get another few encounters on Route 112, Fiery Path, and Mount Chimney. Most importantly, on Route 112, I encounter a Coughing, which would normally be pretty scary. Coughings in this area can range anywhere from level 5 to 40, and anything 34 or above can explode. Thankfully, this one was level 17, which is perfect. Much like our friend Hamilton, Coughing and Wheezing can be traded in Fortree City for the Galar variants. And before you leave your angry YouTube comment like, Squerk, Hamilton and Wheezing would both be trading counters. See, it says met in a trade. I actually just do not care. I don't care. I don't care. My run, my rules, blah, 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 whatever. Cry about it on Reddit. I don't care. I count Hamilton as my Old Dale encounter and Galar Wheezing as my 112 encounter. Just felt the need to say that. I don't know. Fiery Path nets me the worst Torkoal I have ever seen in my entire life. And on Mount Chimney, I catch a Lycanroc. It's the good one, too. You can tell because I said it's the good one. This Pokemon and I have history, and it's a very welcomed addition to the team. This fight with Tabitha might just be my least favorite fight in the game. Every single Pokemon on this team is a major threat. Permanent Sun, Quick Claw Torkoal, Armaldo Stealth Rocks, Life Orb Espeon, Chlorophyll Victreebel, and Mega Absol. Even with only 5 Pokemon, this is easily the premier Team Magma fight. Some people mentioned this to me in the comments section of my Flannery Split guide video. And by the way, if you're interested in playing this game, definitely check out my guide series. I've been told they've really helped people get into running this game. But apparently Tabitha's a guy. I've been using she, her pronouns for him this entire time. I honestly had no idea. I'm sorry, Tabitha. The best and most common lead for Tabitha's Torkoal is Camerupt, but I don't have that and I have to improvise. I decide that the safest way to get through this fight is to use a Heart Scale on my Nidoking's special attack, burn up my Earth Power TM, and try to KO without getting Quick Clawed. Nidoking clutches up and takes no damage, baiting in a guaranteed KO from Espeon's Psychic. A pivot to Drapion followed by a pivot to Lycanroc not only puts Espeon at 90% after Life Orb chip, but it gets the dog in on a Weather Ball rather than a Psychic. From here, Sucker Punch picks up the KO and baits a guaranteed Leaf Blade out of Victreebel. Here's where the big problem lies though. Remember that awful Torkoal I pulled in Fiery Path? Well, somehow, some way, she doesn't have a guaranteed KO with Heat Wave in the sun on a Victreebel. Don't even ask me how that's possible, but there's 2 rolls that don't KO, and you didn't burn? She did not want to live. Unless she dodges this gunk shot. She didn't want it. This is so fine. This Torkoal is horrible. Our third death of the run. Goodbye, Torkoal. You will absolutely not be missed. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed in you. I expected better. The even bigger problem, however, is that nothing I can switch in sets me up in a way where Armaldo is consistently dealt with. I decided to go Lycanroc to sucker punch the victory bell, but Armaldo sees a KO with both Stone Edge and Earthquake. I really can't afford to risk my Excadrill here, and decided that my safest out is to go for the Rock Slide flinch. Lycanroc channels her inner wacko and hits the clutchest flinch of her career, living vicariously through her past attempts. This was absolutely massive. Excadrill doesn't even get to see battle, and Hamilton does what he does best, taking care of the Absol. That could have been so bad, and all that stands in our way of Lava Ridge is Magma Leader Maxi. Maxi is surprisingly much more tame than Tabitha most of the time. Despite having a Zarude and a Kommo-o, it's usually not a real run killer or anything like that. I lead Kabutops on Maxi's Crustle, which is holding a red card to forcibly switch out my Pokemon upon dealing damage. Ideally, Kabutops can handle the Crustle without having to worry about hazards, but things don't work out that way, and I decided I'm better off dealing with Stealth Rocks rather than risking Kabutops' life. Crustle falls to a final liquidation, bringing in Kommo-o, who wants to send a Body Press Kabu's way. Rabombi takes it combined with the Rocks damage, easily KOing with a Moonblast. In comes Aerodactyl, who is once again easily countered by Berserker. But here's where things start to fall apart. Zarude doesn't quite see a KO on Berserker, but Camerupt does. Not only does Camerupt see a KO, it sees one with both Earth Power and Flamethrower. This is pretty bad. My counter to the Camel is Clawitzer, but he's dead to an Earth Power crit. I'd rather not lose Clawitzer, not because it's amazing necessarily. I mean, it's definitely not bad, but I also just love it. It's so fun to use, and I'm a little biased. I decided to take my frustrations of rolling too many Paris out on Connor Bedard, and because I hate the Blackhawks, and send Parasect right into a 50-50 Earth Power Flamethrower. Hopefully this means Bedard is a bust, and Chicago is destined for mediocrity for life or something like that. Clawitzer cleans up the Camel, and Drapion chains a KO on Zarude, and the following Wobbuffet through a Toxic Stall. I'm not super happy with a 2-death Mount Chimney, but Torkoal and Parasect were pretty awful, so I'm not beating myself up over it too much. What I am beating myself up over, however, is losing my Berserker to the first fight after Maxi due to me getting lazy when planning it or something. I don't know, dude. I'm sorry. You deserved way better. I'm kind of garbage. What happens next, however, would alter the course of this run and my stream forever, and even my life, honestly. The most important encounter of the entire run. Is this finally the fabled Jagged Pass Gibble that I've been dreaming of for years? Is that a shiny? Oh my god! What? What the fuck? No way! Okay. Weirdeer is awful. This Pokemon is literally such shit. Like, it does practically nothing. But this was my first encounter shiny. And its IVs are actually cracked, so like maybe it'll actually pop off. Lava Ridge Town's encounter is this old woman's egg. Don't take that too literally, though. In the egg is one of the 3 Hoenn starters, although Sceptile is absolutely the best one, so we definitely scored here. Flan's gym is pretty tough. It doesn't have the permanent sun that Emerald Kaizo's has, but it's riddled with exploding mons, sun teams, and a gauntlet in the middle of all of it. The gauntlet in particular can be a little tough. As a matter of fact, I decided to pull my guaranteed Meteor Falls Magikarp specifically for it. I could have kept delaying Meteor Falls for a chance at a more interesting encounter, but I really wanted the guaranteed Magikarp because it's pretty consistent for this gauntlet and a fight later in the game. The first trainer in Lava Ridge Gym is Kindler Jace, who notably has a Chandelure with Shadow Tag. Normally, with good knowledge of the AI and how it chooses to send in Pokemon, this can easily be countered by holding a Shed Shell, but... Wait! I fucked up. Yep, I fucked up. I just lost my Kabutops. I really misplanned this fight somehow. I just kind of assumed my Kabutops was faster than Chandelure for some reason. I completely forgot I had a Choice Scarf. This was easily the most brutal loss of the run so far, especially with how good the IVs were on Kabutops. I'm sorry, Kabutops, you'll actually be missed. The rest of the gym went pretty smoothly up until Flannery, who is the first double battle gym leader in the entire game. This team definitely looks horrifying. A double battle in Permanent Sun with a Mega Charizard Y and an Entei? In my humble opinion, as long as you have one of several encounters that trivializes this fight, it's probably the easiest gym leader in the game. Hamilton is going to be doing all the heavy lifting in this fight, but I have a bit of a trick up my sleeve to make this even easier. You see, the Trico that I hatched from the egg not too long ago, I never evolved it specifically for this fight. A very good strategy for Flannery is to purposefully keep your Hoenn starter unevolved or underleveled to bait a specific move from this Salazzle. Otherwise, it can fake out one of your Mons and ruin everything. I did end up evolving Trico, but I delayed him to level 46 for a Detect. which Sceptile doesn't learn naturally. By keeping Sceptile at level 52, it always exactly baits Sludge Bomb from Salazzle, as well as a KO from Charizard, which perfectly sets Hamilton up to hit a huge Rock Slide. Neither Salazzle nor Charizard can click Heat Wave, since Flannery doesn't see that the sun is up until after Charizard Mega Evolves due to its Drought ability. It's definitely worth mentioning at this point that the AI in Run and Bun doesn't know that their Pokemon is Mega Evolved until it actually Mega Evolves. It'll always calculate its damage as if it's in its base form until it evolves. Sceptile switches out for Crawdaunt on the incoming Sacred Fire as Hemi sends an Extreme Speed Salazzle's way, keeping Daunt healthy. Since Salazzle fainted in slot 2, which is the same slot as Hamilton, Flannery sends out Marowak since it sees a KO on Hemi. It won't ever target Hamilton, however, since it also sees a fast kill with Flare Blitz into the Lobster. In double battles, the opposing Pokemon will always prioritize a fast KO over a slow KO, and this is incredibly abusable. It's the entire reason why this Arcanine strategy works so well. Entei sees a KO with Solar Beam as well, and Arcanine is free to send another powerful Rock Slide into both Mons as Crawdaunt protects. Another Rock Slide picks up the double kill as Crawdaunt pivots back to Sceptile on the incoming Solar Beam, which puts us in the perfect position to detect with Seppi and Rock Slide once again with Hemi. This fight really is completely free with Hamilton and the right pivots. 5 badges down, 3 to go. Chapter 3. Where the Winds Blow. After Flannery is when the map really opens up. Okay, technically that's not true. You have to fight these 3 trainers in the Slateport Beach House to get access to Surf, but they're not really a problem. The box begins to fill up again, since Surf gives us access to even more encounters. Oh, by the way, did I mention that I can Mega Evolve now? You get the Mega Ring after Flannery, and there are Mega Stones placed around the map, some of which you have to battle scary optional trainers for, most of which are double battles. You do get some freebies though. Immediately after getting Surf, you can pick up the Mega Aggron, Pidgeot, and Ampharos Stones. If you're keen enough, maybe you notice that I never actually caught my Petalburg City encounter. This is for one reason. By delaying until you have Surf, you get either a Froakie or Poplio, both of which are fantastic encounters. Primarina is usually preferred since it's one of the better Pokemon for the Elite Four, but Greninja has a lot of value too. I win the 50-50 and get a Poplio, but it's honestly pretty bad. In New Mauville, the normal Voltorbs and Electrodes are replaced with the Hisui versions, and if you encounter a Voltorb, it's a guaranteed catch with a Quick Ball, not having to worry about Explosion. And I end up catching an absolutely terrible one. I also delayed Route 117 since I already had Togedemaru from Granite Cave, and caught an Alolan Muck, a very useful encounter for a really tough fight later. The rest of the Surf Simulator encounters weren't fantastic. The Basculegion is really nice as my first Ghost type, and Lantern's alright, but Breloom and Sniper Kingdra are pretty unfortunate. Barraskewda and Basculegion are generally 2 of the most coveted Mons here, but sadly I only make it out with one of them. Route 118 is another one that I delayed, but not for a Surf encounter specifically. The grass on the other side of the water has some really good encounters, and some not so great ones too. I'm looking at you, Carnivine. The best 2 encounters here are definitely Altaria and Beedrill, so I can't complain about the Cloudbird. It also just so happens to be one of my all-time favorite Pokemon to use in this game, and it's a super cutie. I'm intentionally saving my Route 119 encounter for later so I can get the Castform in Weather Institute. I'm taking it as my encounter because it's holding the Life Orb, and it's the only way to get one in the entire game. If you really think about it, my encounter is the Life Orb. Castform's just here for the ride. The way up to Weather Institute is full of trainers with random-ass Pokemon, all of which have permanent rain. Most of these fights are really easy, but Dexa definitely thought he was real funny for this one, like, I hope you have a water resist, buddy, good luck, I guess. Weather Institute is the real star of the show, however. This is the first real evil team section, and they throw the whole kitchen sink at you. Bright Powders, Quick Claws, Focus Bands, it's like I'm playing Emerald Kaizo all over again. This fight in particular has 2 exploding Pokemon, both with Quick Claws. Generally, it's a good idea to try and bait a Pokemon with Explosion last, since the AI will never click it if it's the last Mon remaining, but 2 of them makes this obviously impossible. This Drampa is pretty annoying. You can't consistently OHKO it due to its Focus Band, so I choose to lead with Muck, who isn't threatened and can knock off the band while burned to avoid dropping it into Berserk range and giving her a special attack boost. Felwitzer cleans it up, bringing in Amistar, which was not according to plan at all. Sceptile takes care of this easily, but KOing it sends in Ferrothorn, and at this point I'm risking Explosion. I'm forced to send Heracross at it, risking the Quick Claw Explosion, and thankfully my goat clutches up. The problem, however, is that this baits Exeggutor, which is the other Explosion Mon. Remember how I just said you want to bait Explosion Mons last if possible? The rest of the fight goes smoothly, and the hardest of the awkward grunts is dealt with. Shelly, however, is no joke. Her Choice Band Dragonite is a force to be reckoned with, dealing insane damage. It's crucial that you route your fight very precisely to guarantee what move this Dragonite uses. This is a fight where Torterra really shows its true potential though. It's really important to understand the way AI works on this fight. I lead my Rabombi against Shelly's Mienshao and set up a Tailwind on the first turn. This allows Rabombi to be faster than everything on her team after KOing Mienshao, which brings in Nihiligo for a slow KO. Also, I really hope that's how you pronounce it. It sounds the coolest for me. Nihiligo, Nihiligo, Nihiligo. There's a really important AI quirk in Run and Bun that's pretty niche, but pretty important, where if a Pokemon is holding a Power Herb and has a Meteor Beam and sees a KO with it, it will always click it over other moves that see a KO because of the special attack boost that the move grants. Excadrill takes it perfectly and rapid spins to clear the rocks and outspeed the following turn for the KO, baiting in Dragonite for either Aqua Tail or Fire Punch. Primarina takes both and can stay healthy with Draining Kiss. Shelly sends out her Tornadus, where a series of pivots between Hamilton and Electrode Volt switches eventually take care of it. The nice part about this plan is that KOing with Volt Switch allows me to choose who I want to come out, and it's crucial here that Lantern comes out next instead of Blastoise. Primarina baits a guaranteed Thunderbolt and flip turns for some much needed chip damage into Torterra. Torterra's minimum roll with Earthquake is 95, and even though Woodhammer KOs, I take too much recoil and can't safely handle the Blastoise after. This flip turn was absolutely necessary to perfectly set up a chain KO on Lantern into Blastoise with a quick Earthquake into Woodhammer. Weather Institute down, Cast Form obtained, Life Orb is in my hands. It's not over though. One of the hardest fights of the entire game is immediately following. Bridge Rival. The remaining fights from here till Fortree add permanent electric terrain to simulate a thunderstorm, which is honestly pretty creative. This fight is messed up. I used to take days to prep this, I'm not even joking. I would stream my entire run until Bridge Rival, then take 2 days off just to prep this sometimes. I was in the trenches, dude, like it was rough. Thankfully, I got much better at this fight over time, and I found a strategy that is really consistent with 2 guaranteed encounters and a 3rd incredibly common one. The most important part of this fight is to take care of the Mega Blaziken, Salamence, and Ludicolo. A lot of Swift Swim Mons can do this perfectly, but my Swift Swim Mon of choice is Mega Ampharos. Okay, it doesn't actually get Swift Swim, but it hits insanely hard with Thunder and Electric terrain. I start by clicking Spiky Shield with Togedemaru, who's pre-damaged to a very specific HP, for Salamence to see a guaranteed KO with Hydro Pump. Ampharos drops a Thunder on the Chicken, and in comes the Dragon. Togi swaps into Sceptile on the 2 water moves as Amphi drops another Thunder on the Ludi. The fact that this kills is insane, by the way. This Mega Ampharos is not normal. Heliolisk comes in using a random move, but both Mons take every move just fine. Sceptile clicks Detect as Ampharos drops another Thunder into Salamence, picking up its 3rd KO of the fight. This fight is now perfectly set up in my hands. It's checkmate from here. Sceptile swaps into Excadrill and Ampharos into Torterra. Neither is threatened at all by either Mon. Excadrill's holding a Ground Gem, but is dead to Heliolisk Weather Ball, while Torterra isn't ever dead to anything. This is where it starts to get really cool. Because Excadrill is holding the Ground Gem, Metagross sees that it's dead to high horsepower and wants to click Bullet Punch. Since the AI is incentivized to click priority moves when they see that you have a KO on them, Excadrill swaps into Gyarados on a Weather Ball and Bullet Punch as Torterra Earthquakes, massively chunking the enemy team and ignoring Gyara. From here, both Mons see a KO with an electric move, and Gyara swaps back into Excadrill as Torterra Giga Drains Metagross. It's important not to KO it just yet, and Earthquaking would kill Excadrill as well. The same pivot as before into Gyara, as Torterra rips another Earthquake, picks up the double kill, bringing in the last Mon, Blastoise, who once again sees a KO with Terrain Pulse on Gyara, as Torterra fires a Woodhammer into the inferior Tortoise. The best part? We never actually used the Ground Gem. Does anyone else have some major nostalgia from Fortree City? Like, the music and everything is just so nostalgic for me. I love it. I think if I told 10-year-old me that I was playing Pokemon with a calculator, though, he'd be very disappointed in me. Oh, and look, we have Lizzie! And oh my god, those IVs are insane. Route 120 is a really tough encounter to pull. Both the grass and water encounters are so good. Honestly though, the high chance at Golisopod is too good to pass up, so I fish up a Slowpoke, which guarantees me a Golisopod and Scorch Slab. Not to mention Slowbro is a great mon in its own right, especially on Winona. Winona is a volatile one. If you have Mega Beedrill, this fight is honestly super free, but I got Paris, so fuck me, I guess. This fight's gonna be tough. I decided to use 2 heart skills here. One on Hamilton's special defense and one on Lizzie's speed. I lead with Torterra to bait Winona's Staraptor into using Brave Bird into Magnezone. And since it's Choice Scarfed, I don't have to worry about close combat. This sets up quite nicely for Volcarona to come in for a Fiery Dance. And this is the reason I scaled Spadef on Hammy. If Volcarona gets the 50% special attack boost from Fiery Dance, Hamilton can die to Psychic Crit, and I'm really not willing to take that risk. Plus, it's a decent scale long term. Thankfully, we win yet another coin flip, and Volcarona doesn't get the boost. A quick Rock Slide into Extreme Speed takes down Mothra, and in comes Hawlucha for a close combat. Torterra takes the hit and baits Flying Gem Acrobatics into Magnezone. Slowbro's holding a Sticky Barb, which transfers to any target holding an item upon making contact, and deals an 1/8 of the holder's HP every turn. This is perfect here, since it cuts Hawlucha's damage from Acrobatics in half, and allows Slowbro to stay healthy with Slack Offs and set up a KO with Future Sight. Oh, and Seismic Toss being contact lets Slowbro take the Barb back. Shaman comes in for a Seed Flare, and a pivot into Eldegoss drops its speed. Magnezone takes an Air Slash and baits Earth Power back into Eldegoss, dropping its speed once again. Hamilton comes back in on an Air Slash, picking up its second KO of the fight, and in comes Altaria for an Earthquake. This thing is really hard to counter. Its coverage is just so damn good. Too many crits can really put my team in danger, but Eldegoss comes in to tank an Earthquake to drop Altaria's speed once again. This baits Flamethrower back into Hammy, who pivots into Lizzie on the Earthquake. Two Strange Steams gets the job done, and holy smokes, look at this animation by the way, they actually cooked. Torterra takes the random move from Celesteela and always baits exactly Flamethrower back into Hamilton, who KOs with Flare Blitz and doesn't have to worry about recoil damage due to Rockhead. Deathless Winona is fantastic for the run's longevity. 2 scales is more than worth it for this run to continue at this pace. 6 badges down, 2 to go. Chapter 4. The Might of the Hellblade. Tate and Liza split is by far the longest split in the entire game. It's more or less like 4 splits in one. I take my guaranteed Golisopod and Scorch Slab, a massive improvement to an already fantastic box. Golisopod has the ability Emergency Exit, which forcefully swaps it out when getting sent below half of its HP. Golisopod is already incredibly bulky and can take hits extremely well. By pre-damaging Golisopod to always get sent to exactly below half health, you can get a free switch into any of your Pokemon. It's pretty much a free eject button. To make this even more overpowered, there's a bug in Run and Bun that swaps Golisopod out even if it goes back above 50% HP with a Citrus Berry, which allows you to get 2 free exits potentially. This synergizes so well with more frail, offensively based Pokemon since they don't need to worry about taking hits. At the end of Route 120 gives us the Altaria Knight, giving us access to Mega Altaria. This thing's incredible. Since its Mega Evolution is a Dragon and Fairy type, you can easily bait Dragon moves into the regular form and Mega Evolve into an immunity for free. On top of that, it gets Roost and Tailwind, as well as Pixelate Facade, which hits insanely hard. The routes towards Lily Cove City are mostly pain-free. Weirdeer even popped off on this double battle with 2 neutralizing gas Weezings on one side with a Slacking and Archeops on the other. Good job, Weirdeer, you're killing it, buddy. I did get kind of lazy on this double battle, however, and ended up losing my Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan was kind of outstaying its welcome at this point, but at the end of the day, you never want to lose a Pokemon to something as foolish as this. Oh yeah, and on Route 121, I caught a Mienshao. I'm just gonna go ahead and let you guys know right now that throughout the course of the run, Mienshao did not participate in a single fight. The rest of my fighting types were simply too good. And what the fuck is this moveset it comes with? Like, how am I supposed to use this thing, man? I also caught a Dreadnought in Lily Cove City and a Blastoise in the Safari Zone, which gets its Megastone in Lily Cove, actually. Speaking of getting their Megastone in Lily Cove, Mega Heracross is on the table now. Lily Cove Rival is another one of those really frustrating fights. It's always the rival fights, honestly, isn't it? This team's brutal. Like, seriously, Metal. There really isn't any breathing room with this one. It's really tough all the way through. Altaria, however, is an amazing lead for this fight. Maybe even the best in the entire game, baiting a KO from Dual Chop and Mega Evolving into a Fairy type for a Pixelate boosted Facade. In comes Weavile for a Triple Axle, and Golisopod tanks it, followed by a First Impression KO. In comes Articuno, one of the scariest mons here. Hurricane, Calm Mind, and Freezing Glare combined with Competitive makes this thing terrifying. Thankfully, Magnezone does pretty well as long as no status shenanigans happen. Magnezone clutches up, baiting a KO from Machamp's Dynamic Punch. Golisopod takes another hit and swaps into Altaria on the incoming Stone Edge. Altaria is able to stay healthy with Roost as long as he doesn't take infinite Stone Edge crits and eventually KOs with another Facade, bringing in Melmetal. A series of pivots between Togedemaru and Altaria chip it low enough with Iron Barbs and Spiky Shield until Ursaluna can KO. This baits in the last mon, Mega Blaziken, who always sees a KO on Ursaluna with exactly close combat. Golisopod can take one final hit, that of which exits her out into Gyarados, who is completely healthy enough at this point to KO without any risk. Next stop, Mount Pyre. This is the place that wiped a few of my furthest runs in the past, and on the summit waits one of the biggest run killers in the entire game. First and foremost, I roll Route 122 for one of the most powerful encounters in the entire game, and my all-time favorite Pokemon, Dreepy. There are a few places where you can catch Dreepy, including Mount Pyre itself, but this is the first of them. I get a Honchkrow instead, which is okay, just not what I was looking for necessarily. The interior of Mount Pyre ends with a 4-trainer gauntlet, where you once again can only bring 6 Pokemon. The latter of these 4 fights being a back-to-back with no healing against 2 Aqua Grunts. Mega Altaria is once again amazing for this. It single-handedly beats half of the gauntlet, which really helps with stuff like this, since it really lets me condense the rest of my team. I maybe sorta forgot to give my Magnezone a zoom lens for this Bright Powder Gyarados though, which could have been a massive problem if Magnezone wasn't the greatest to ever do it. On the exterior of Mount Pyre is where I want to pull my encounter, and Castform finally gets to leave the box as a Repel Manip for a higher chance at Dreepy. Repelling prevents you from encountering any Pokemon below the level of the first Pokemon in your party, so by leading a level 58 Castform, it slightly increases the odds of finding Dreepy. I get the next best thing, a Zvilas, so I really can't complain too much. Mount Pyre's summit has permanent tailwind for the enemy team. In other words, every Pokemon you fight up here has double its normal speed stat. If you think that's unfair, that's because it is. Not to mention, you also have to deal with a ton of Sniper Mons, Bright Powder users, and Focus Band guys. Torterra makes this section of the game so much easier. Like, I couldn't even imagine this without her. The final fight on Mount Pyre is against Aqua leader Archibald himself, and you guessed it, there's still permanent tailwind with this monstrosity of a team. To make matters even worse, this is a tag battle, meaning you only get to bring 3 Pokemon and are paired with Shell, who brings a Delcatty to fight Urshifu, Hydreigon, Stakataka, and Mega Sharpedo. If this sounds unreasonable, that's because it kinda is. I'm really relying on Shell's Rhyperior to put in some serious work here. I know he can do it, he just might have to land some Stone Edges. I'm just gonna kill the Stakataka. It's fine. It's fine. Dragalge's dead. Dragalge's dead. High horsepower. He's dead. Clawitzer might go down here. We'll see. Just target Rhyperior. Please. If it targets Rhyperior, that is amazing. Please. Okay. Does this kill? Okay. Okay, wait a second. This is always Crunch. Can my Heracross die to Crunch crit? No, he can't. He can't. Always Crunch. Ow, my ears! Just high horsepower. Please don't Stone Edge miss. Yes! Come on! Let's go! Yes! Yes! Come on, baby! Boomless. Well, not Boomless, but not Double Boom. Magma Hideout is no doubt one of the hardest parts of the entire game. Maybe even the single hardest, honestly. It's littered with Bright Powders, Focus Bands, Quick Claws, the whole 9 yards. There's no permanent Sun like there is in Emerald Kaizo, but the final room has permanent Magma Storm. This effect deals an 1/8 of your Pokemon's HP every turn and prevents you from switching out of battle. The only exceptions are Ghost types, Pokemon holding a Shed Shell, Volt Switch, Flip Turn, and U-Turn users, and by clearing the storm with Rapid Spin. This room is known by the community as Hell Room for a very good reason. You will lose Pokemon here, it's pretty much a guarantee. The first trainer in Magma Hideout is one of the hardest. Quick Claw, Torkoal, Bright Powder, Belly Drum Charizard, and Focus Band Hisui Arcanine in Permanent Sun is really tough to deal with. Somehow, someway, I made it through all of Magma Hideout up until Hell Room. But this is where the heat cranks up to the max. The first of these Hell fights is incredibly hard to route safely. Generally, any fighting type that can KO Kangaskhan safely is dead to Crobat Hurricane, which is even more dangerous in Magma Storm since you generally want to hold a Shed Shell if possible. I kind of really would love to have Hydreigon for the rest of Magma Hideout, so we'll see. As bad as this Hydreigon is, but... You get faked out turn 1. It's fine. Okay, no crit. Nice! Let's go! Okay, we're chilling. Okay. Okay, Kangaskhan is -1. That's really good. We're probably dodging a crit later. Not a Mon that is dead to crit, but the crit might make us have to steer. We'll see. This could sing. Perfect. Okay, we're pre-slept so that this can't sing us if it were to have attacked there. So this is guaranteed to click return. Golisopod always gets put to minimum 107 from return. If this crits me, then we might have to sack Breloom. I'm gonna decide. It's either sack Breloom or risk Ampharos, but we'll see. Beautiful. It's a pretty good roll for me, too. Okay, emergency exit switches us out into Breloom. That was the only way I could safely get my Breloom in because he needs to be at 75 HP or 75 speed. Sorry, 75 level. I need to be at exactly level 75. So Sky Uppercut now outspeeds and kills, and it always baits Centiskorch because we're speed tied, and the AIC speed tie is outspeeding. All this just to not bait in Crobat, by the way. Breloom's holding a Shed Shell. You only have 2 Shed Shells at this point. We go into Hamilton. Perfect. Did I candy Breloom? No. He's level 75, man. This always kills. Arcanine's never dead to anything from Crobat, and I outdamage, so it always baits Toxapex for liquidation. This is always liquidation. We go Breloom. Perfect. And now since this always crits, by the way, because it's merciless. That is what we're going for here. So because we're poisoned, this is always Venoshock. I needed a way to get a double switch off of this thing with Golisopod. And the only way I found that I could do it was if I poisoned him. So that this thing gets a guaranteed crit because of its ability Merciless, which always makes it crit if you're poisoned. Venoshock crit when I'm poisoned always does maximum 127. So we always go Golisopod here. It always guaranteed crits me. I'm never dead. We get the free switch into Ampharos. And now Mega Ampharos chains this and the Crobat. And it can never Hurricane me. Oh, that was so cool. That was such a sick strat, man. I'm so certain I've never did a Sludge Bomb crit too. This always kills. Max roll Sludge Bomb crit is 141. GG? I do have Toad, yeah. Let's go, dude. That was clean. There's 2 more grunts, TJ, and then there's Tabitha and Maxie. All right. Wish me Gluck. Okay, so can't switch. Again, for the next 4 fights, I'm gonna get faked out. This should always bait Jumpluff. Because it's faster, I see a fast kill on Turtonator and Incineroar, and it won't go Licky Licky because Licky Licky's max score, I believe, is +0, right? Okay, yes, Jumpluff. Come on, Magnezone, you gotta clutch up, man. Please Spore. Yes, okay, that's so good. If this clicks Leech Seed, I think we're out of this. I taught Hidden Power, right? Oh god, please for the little fuck. Sounds good, Case. Have a good one. Okay. Yes! Okay. We're so in this. This baits Incineroar always for Earthquake or Blaze Kick. Demon down. I have a Shed Shell. Always Incineroar. It can never click Knockoff. Okay. This is most... Okay, it's Earthquake most of the time. It can Blaze Kick. Either way, Golisopod takes it. I'm never dead to Blaze Kick crit, and it always sends me out. So we go Golisopod. It can't knock off. Okay, that's better. That is best case scenario. Perfect. Get our Citrus Berry, and this switches us out into Primarina. Primarina has Flip Turn, and is never dead to a crit or anything like that. So this is always Earthquake or... No, this is just always Earthquake. Never did an Earthquake crit. Earthquake crit max roll is 144. We Flip Turn. Okay, here goes Citrus. And we go into Bascule Legion. The slow Flip Turn is just so good. Okay, Liquidation always kills. This should bait Turtonator. Okay, this should always be Draco Meteor. If I remember correctly, AI can never protect turn 1 in a single battle, right? This thing has an eject pack. If you don't know what that does, when its stats get lowered, it automatically switches it out. So this is always Draco, which I am dead to crit. Is my Excadrill dead to Draco Meteor crit into Magma Storm? 130. How much do I take from Magma Storm? It's 273. I take 34. I'm not. I'm never dead. Okay. Okay, this should always be Draco. Perfect. Now this switches out into Licky Licky. This Licky Licky has Quick Claw Boom. I have a Shed Shell still. Oh, that cries horrid. This is always Explosion. That's the only move it has. We go back to Basket Legion. Little, if you're watching, this counts as a Basket Legion KO. And now it's back to Turtonator. Alright. So this is Draco. It can never overheat. We go Primarina. Perfect. And now it's always overheat. Or protect, I guess. True, Joao, true. Alright, GG. Made my PB, and what's the best strat to kill the Gorgeist with Explosion? There aren't that many mons that kill that thing, to be honest. Like, it just Oko it. It depends on what you have in your box. Still Deathless Magma Hideout so far. The third Hellroom fight is probably the hardest. It's so difficult to maneuver through this fight safely, and especially dealing with this Bright Powder Arbok. I end up underestimating the amount of damage I take and have to risk Excadrill on a Bright Powder miss into crit. Okay, this is not guaranteed to Aquatail. It could also Coil. Or not Coil, Glare, sorry. My options are stay and attack, hopefully he glares me and I hit through, or go Drapion and stack. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna go for it. Come on, baby. Yes, come on, hit through, baby. Come on. Hit through. Exca, hit through, hit through, hit through. You gotta hit through, dude. Fuck. I'm gonna go Drapion now. I think Drapion's probably dying here. He doesn't have a Shed Shell or anything. Okay, no more Bright Powder. Okay. He could technically live. Crit, maybe? Yeah, I'm always going to be dead to the Carnivine is the issue. Yeah. Rip Drapion. Nah, he's dead. Unfortunately, my Drapion isn't holding a Shed Shell, and Carnivine of all Pokemon takes the KO on her. Drapion has kind of run her course, but obviously I'd rather have it alive still. One death throughout all of Magma Hideout grunts is fantastic though, and all that's left is Magma Admin Tabitha and Leader Maxi. These two fights are real bloodbaths. Not being able to switch out often means that sacking Pokemon is your only real choice, and it's really important to sack your expendable Pokemon in order to keep tempo and allow for your more useful Pokemon to shine. Tabitha leads with Blacephalon, because why wouldn't he? Dreadnought tanks a Shadow Ball and drops its speed with a Rock Tomb, breaking its sash and allowing Dreadnought to outspeed the next turn. Hitmonlee comes in next, and I'm forced to sack Dreadnought. Carnivine's next for the revenge kill with Natural Gift, which is perfect because I don't give a damn if this motherfucker dies. Yanmega picks up the Carnivine KO, letting Lycanroc come in next for a guaranteed KO with Accelerock. Lycanroc gets some extra chip damage with Sucker Punch as Victini drops a Psychic for the last planned sack of the fight. Hamilton Rock Slides the Victini, baiting in Mega Absol for a close combat. Hammy's Shed Shell lets it swap into Golisopod to tank the CC, who's also pre-damaged to exit out into Mega Heracross. From here, Heracross chains a KO on Absol and the Caboose Snorlax for a 3-death Tabitha, which is honestly pretty solid considering how expendable the 3 deaths were. Maxi, on the other hand, is a whole separate beast. Once again, with Magma Storm in effect, Maxi leads with Groudon, adding Permanent Sun to the mix as well. To nobody's surprise, this fight is also a major sackfest. Thankfully, my box has some real shitters, and I'm willing to let any of these freaks go if it means my run continues. I start by leading Sceptile, pre-damage to exactly 68 HP to put it into Overgrow, boosting the power of my grass moves by 1.5 times the normal damage. Sceptile is one of my 2 Shed Shell holders, so I switch into Stoutland, whose job is to simply pass away. Here's where the fight gets scary. Castform needs to not get crit by Tangrowth here, otherwise it can bait Scale Shot from Garchomp, which would be a guaranteed wipe. Our living Life Orb clutches up, falling to the Land Shark. Rabombi's next to set up Tailwind, and he's pre-damaged to always die to Magma Storm, just in case Garchomp misses Stone Edge. Hydreigon takes the KO in Tailwind on Garchomp, and baits Naganadel, whose Choice Scarf and sees a KO with Dragon Pulse. Hydreigon U-turns to safety into Excadrill, who tanks a massive Dragon Pulse crit. I scaled speed for this exact reason, just so Excadrill could outspeed in Tailwind. Mew is next for a Flare Blitz, as Excadrill swaps back into Hydreigon. I set up another Tailwind, and Hydreigon chunks the Mythical with a Dark Pulse. Flare Blitz recoil puts Mew in range of Hydreigon U-turn after dodging a burn, and Hydreigon takes the KO while setting up Checkmate for Excadrill in Tailwind to KO Maxi's ace, Houndoom. All in all, only one unplanned death, and all of Magma Hideout is fantastic. The run keeps getting better and better. Chapter 5. Hostile Descent. Aqua Hideout, the slightly more tame younger cousin of Magma Hideout. There's no field effect here like with the Magma Storm, but the same Bright Powders and Quick Claws are here just the same. This fight right here is, in my opinion, one of the single hardest fights in the entire game. The Caracosta lead is horrible to deal with, and the Quick Claw Sniper Octillery is another major threat. It's really hard to beat this riskless, so I decided to throw Kingdra at the Octillery and pray. No Quick Claw? Okay. I'm dead to exactly half of all Quick Claw crits. Yes, let's go. Quick Claw Sniper Octillery. Crazy mon. Let's go, dude. Fuck that fight. At the end of Aqua Hideout is the first and last fight against Aqua Admin Matt, a fight that I've historically really struggled against. This time would be different though. I was willing to sack an expendable Pokemon even if it meant disappointing the deathless believers in chat and having to part with one of my very first Pokemon. Matt leads with a Focus Sash Mamoswine with Stealth Rocks, and Toxicroak fakes out the Mammoth to break the sash. Toxicroak pivots into a Heracross on an Earthquake and a close combat slays the beast. In comes Dracovish, whose moveset is... yeah. Thankfully, Kingdra takes this like a champ and baits Dragapult for a guaranteed Dragon Darts into Primarina. A series of smooches takes the KO on Dragapult and baits in Kartana for either a Leaf Blade or a Smart Strike. I pivot into Magnezone, followed by a swap to Toxicroak on a Sacred Sword, picking up the KO with a Fake Out into Vacuum Wave. In comes Matt's Raikou for a KO with both Scald and Thunderbolt. The plan this fight was to sack Toxicroak to keep momentum, but I really want to save that for the Gyarados in the back. I'm forced to swap Altaria into the 50-50, which for what seems like the first time is not in my favor. A series of roosts with a few facades sprinkled in there keeps Altaria relatively healthy, bringing in Gyarados for the KO. Finally, a Toxicroak stack lets Heracross come back in for free to pick up the KO with a final close combat. We sail eastward to Moss Deep City, home of a lot of things probably, like NASA, and this white rock. At this point, I have two options. Step right into Moss Deep Gym and start battling the gym trainers, or fight this terrifying double battle to get into Shoal Cave for an extra encounter. I decide on trying my luck to break into Shoal Cave, and end up having one of the closest calls of the entire run so far. Heracross is in danger of dying to a crit from Sandslash, and with the rest of my party's HP, there aren't really any alternatives. Come on, don't target my Heracross. I'm only dead to crit, but... oh god, okay. Don't crit me. Yes! Let's fucking go, Heracross! It was super likely to target my Glycopod there. Oh my god, dude, I don't know why I thought Frostmoth would... or, Sandslash would come out before Frostmoth. I encounter an Avalugg on Route 125 to try and help secure a more useful encounter in Shoal Cave, and I get... Achoo! Yes! Yes! Let's go! Let's go! Let's fucking go. Hopefully it's good. This is probably the best encounter I could get here. Sneasler is absolutely unreal, with an insanely high 130 attack and 120 speed, with an offensive typing that complements itself really well. Not to mention mine is Naughty, which is just about the best nature I could ask for. Every fight in Moss Deep Gym is a double battle, and it's at this point where it's definitely worth mentioning that gyms in this game automatically heal you, so you aren't able to pre-damage or pre-status. This makes this section incredibly difficult, since the best strategy for most double battles is to bait KOs into one side via pre-damaging. This first fight, for example, against Preston and Mara is one of the single hardest fights in the entire game. Okay, so, the reason we're leading Lilligant rather than fake-outing something is because Lilligant is not only dead to Hyper Voice from Sylveon, but also only dead to Hurricane from Noivern. So it can't Focus Blast me, essentially. Nidoking has a Poison Gem, which we're going to use, obviously. So Lilligant is going to switch into Togedemaru on the Hurricane. And Nidoking outspeeds and kills Sylveon with Poison Gem, Poison Jab. So that's step one. We have a Person Berry on Togedemaru. In case I get confused. Thank you, Tarek, for the 4 months. I really appreciate it. Okay, he missed. That's fine.
GL.
That doesn't really matter. My Togedemaru is still dead to Focus Blast. Goodbye, Sylveon. Sounds good, Shmo. Okay, so this is gonna go Metagross, which always sees a a slow kill on Nidoking. It can't explode because it sees a kill. Togedemaru is always dead to Focus Blast. Fake out Noivern. I'm never dead to anything from Metagross. And I'm always dead to Focus Blast. So we fake out Noivern. And then I'm always dead to Zen Headbutt. So we're going to go into Hydreigon. So it should be Zen Headbutt into Hydreigon. Now this is why we needed the candy for this turn specifically. Noivern now, because I'm level 86 and not 85, always sees a kill with Focus Blast on the Togedemaru, and it never sees its top roll on Hydreigon. So Hydreigon's never dead to anything here. Hydreigon is also holding a Dark Gem because it sees, Metagross sees that I always OHKO it. So we are going to Spiky Shield the incoming Focus Blast, and we're going to Tailwind. This should always be Focus Blast into Togedemaru and Bullet Punch into Hydreigon. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful, dude. Okay, so Tailwind's up. That's turn 1 of Tailwind. We got to count this. I'm pretty sure I counted this correctly. Okay, so this should always be Bullet Punch into Hydreigon again. We're going to go into Houndoom on the Togi slot and Draco Meteor on the Noivern. Should always be Bullet Punch. Perfect. We don't use the Dark Gem. Killed Noivern with Draco. Houndoom's in. 100 accuracy. This should bait Gardevoir. So I think that there is very small chance that Gardevoir just Moonblast Hydreigon, but it's most likely Shadow Sneak into Metagross here. We're going to Mega Evolve Houndoom, Flamethrower Metagross, which is a range. The Shadow Sneak from Gardevoir is going to put him in range of Flamethrower always killing. He shouldn't Bullet Punch Hydreigon anymore because of the -2 from Draco. So this should always be Meteor Mash or whatever. Or it doesn't really matter. It's just going to the Toad. So we Flamethrower, Gardevoir Shadow Sneaks Metagross. It doesn't Bullet Punch anymore, but so it doesn't get the +2 Bullet Punch. Essentially, Houndoom has a 5%... There's 95% is the min roll on Flamethrower and Dark Pulse. Perfect. Procs the Weakness Policy, puts it in range of Flamethrower. Oh, Slow Kill's +11. That's right, that's right, that's right. It's not +12. So yeah, this is never... it was always Shadow Sneak. Alright, now Metagross is always dead. Now it's Drifblim. So that is turn... This is the last turn of Tailwind. This is the last turn of Tailwind. Drifblim has Weakness Policy and Unburden. So it's... Gardevoir's guaranteed to Shadow Sneak here into the Drifblim, which procs its Unburden. But in Tailwind, Mega Houndoom's always faster. And this is the roll of Dark Pulse on Drifblim. The Shadow Sneak from Gardevoir allows us to always kill this. So Togedemaru, for that reason, is specifically not going to fake out the Gardevoir. So we're going to Dark Pulse you, and then we're going to go into Kecleon. Beautiful. Gets the Weakness Policy, gets the Unburden. We're still faster. That's one side. Okay. So now there's 2 more mons to deal with. It's just Gardevoir and Mismagius. We are going to Flamethrower Gardevoir and Fake Out Gardevoir. Flamethrower is more damage. Yeah, we had Tailwind up, Chubs. Okay. Now this is probably going to be Icy Wind. It could Moonblast. We're just going to Flamethrower again. Actually, this is probably gonna Shadow Sneak me. We're just gonna sucker. All right, GG. Let's fucking go. This was clean, man. This was so clean. I'm pretty sure this was completely riskless. Oh, that doesn't matter. It's fine. I think it was always just Shadow Sneak there. Okay, now all that's left is Miss Magius, and we double Sucker Punch. Holy, I cooked, dude. When I lock in, I'm so fucking clean, man. When I lock in, I'm so clean. It can also be really useful to intentionally keep certain Pokemon like Caracosta and Crawdaunt that have Protect at a lower level to intentionally take more damage to bait kills, since you aren't able to pre-damage. Like this fight against Virgil and Nate, where the AI is heavily incentivized to fling its Salac Berry onto its own Gothitelle to activate Weakness Policy and give a speed boost. Unfortunately though, this fight is bugged, and the Flingmons think that they still have their Salac Berry even after it's already been flung, which makes it a lot easier. Somehow, there's a fight that's even harder than Preston and Mora. Kathleen and Nicholas. This Crobat is not okay. If it doesn't see a KO, it can either Screech or Super Fang, which can ruin your entire line depending on what it clicks and where. Crobat always sees a fast kill with Acrobatics on Kecleon. We're going to go into you. And then you see a kill with High Horsepower on you. So it's always Acrobatics. No more Flying Gem, doesn't really matter. Iron Barb Ship doesn't really matter either. This guy dies. This is going to bait Cinderace. That is the reason we needed 2 candies, because if I use 1 candy, it baits Medicham since we're speed tied, so I needed 2. I'm already at 31 speed. So this is always Cinderace. What Crobat chooses to do this turn is completely random, and the good news is that it literally does not matter, I'm pretty sure. What Crobat chooses to do does not matter. It's never Tailwind, though, because we're both slower than both of them. Okay, doesn't matter. Perfect. Okay. So this baits Medicham. The last mon on the side. Chipmunk ass. Alright, so this turn, this is where I thought the line was pretty cool. This turn, Crobat is guaranteed to click Tailwind because it sees that my Excadrill is faster than Medicham, but my Togedemaru is slower than Medicham. This Medicham has a Sash. I'm going to Spiky Shield with Togi and go into Basculegion. So it's guaranteed Tailwind here. Should be at least. We break the Sash with Spiky Shield. Perfect. Beautiful. The better news is that Basculegion's never dead to flying, or never dead to non-flying gym crit from Acrobatics. So this is always close combat on my Togedemaru. We're gonna go into Lizzie, and then we're gonna Spirit Lock Medicham. What Crobat does here is completely random as well. Well, I guess it's not technically completely random. It's not ever clicking Acrobatics on my Togedemaru, which is important because it sees Super Fang as higher damage. So this is always, if it attacks me, it's Super Fang, which is fine. We take it. And then I'm never dead to anything. And then the Medicham's always attacking Togi because it doesn't see a kill on Basculegion. So we Spirit Lock you. Okay, it's fine, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Perfect. Now this is always close combat. Okay, Medicham's dead. So one side's completely down. This is where it's a little bit weird. I didn't really plan any of this. I just think Arcanine goes crazy. So far, so good, Charlie. The hardest part was coming up with the first, like, 3 or 4 turns. Zoom Lens always kills. Crit didn't matter. Okay, so this is Togekiss, right? Oh, no, I think it's Jinx, actually, which is even better. Oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah, next fight's the Meryl one. Just don't freeze my Arcanine and we're chill. Perfect. GG. Yes! Fuck this fight, bro! Fuck this fight! Fuck this fight! Thank you. Oh, I guess I should have Flare Blitz. Gets a good point one, yeah. The last gym trainers, Clifford and Macy, are a really funny one. Receiver copies the ability of any ally Pokemon that faints, and the Passimian is hard-coded to click Protect turn 1 as Marill either gets KO'd or explodes, giving Passimian huge power. Fortunately for the player, the guaranteed Protect turn 1 combined with the level 1 Marill is really abusable, and Encore is these guys' worst nightmare. I think it's really funny that Tate and Liza's entire gym is double battles, which makes complete sense since they're the quintessential double battle gym leaders. Except in Run and Bun, where they aren't even a double battle. They are, however, a back-to-back fight where you're not able to heal, and boy oh boy are these teams scary. Yet another gym leader, or gym leaders in this case, where Beedrill makes it completely free. But as I said earlier, I got Parasect. Tate opens up with Azelf, holding a Focus Sash, and Sneasler cracks it open with a knockoff as Azelf starts up a Future Sight. I really abused the Explosion AI here, and switch into Basculation on the guaranteed Explosion, since Azelf is below 10% HP. There's still one more turn before Future Sight activates, and in comes Hoopa. And by Hoopa, I mean Zoroark. I switch into Houndoom, who's immune to the Future Sight and tanks the Night Days. Golisopod then swaps in on an Aura Sphere to pick up a KO with First Impression, bringing in Latios. From here, it's time to PP stall. Primarina and Hydreigon have perfect synergy here, with Prem switching in on Draco Meteor and Hydreigon coming in on EQ and Zen Headbutt. Once it's out of Dracos, Hydreigon is free to take the KO, and in comes Tate's last Mon, Hoopa. There's actually a strategy for this fight where you can completely PP stall the Hoopa and use a Pokemon with Roleplay or Skill Swap to take Hoopa's Magician, usually Kecleon, which allows you to steal the leftovers off of it. This is insanely valuable for later, but we'll get there when we get there. Unfortunately, I don't quite have the firepower for a strat like this, and I'm forced to just take the KO with Sneasler. On to Liza. Sneasler easily KOs Tapu Lele with a Poison Jab and baits Latias for Dragon Pulse. Primarina can Encore this into Aura Sphere and whittle away until it can KO with Flip Turn, swapping into Hydreigon to bait out Metagross. This thing is unbelievably overpowered. Whoever designed Mega Metagross needs to be, like, institutionalized or something, because what were they thinking? Thankfully, my Hydreigon has the maximum possible defense and can tank a max roll Meteor Mash crit. I set up a Tailwind and swap into Golisopod to bait a Zen Headbutt into Houndoom, who's holding my Fire Gem. Flamethrower always KOs, bringing in Liza's final Mon, Hoopa Unbound. The problem here is that Houndoom can also bait Hyperspace Hole, which really messes up my switch-in candidates. I decide to channel my inner Wacko once again, and hard swap into Primarina, who's dead to some Hyperspace Hole crits, but he ends up taking an Aura Sphere instead. From here, it's an easy pivot into Hydreigon, then into Sneasler for... No, I'm not even fucking kidding. Prim is so overrated. I'm being so real with you. How am I chatting? I haven't mentioned this, but if you ever get an item knocked off or stolen, you don't get it back. So this could have actually ended up being a big deal. Either way, I still have these 6 shades, and I personally think they're cooler. 7 badges down, 1 to go. Chapter 6. Time of Crisis. After defeating Tate and Liza, you get a guaranteed Cubfu as a gift encounter in Moss Deep City. It's random which form it evolves into, but both are obviously amazing. I end up with Single Strike, which is honestly my preferred of the two. This is a lock for pretty much any Elite Four team. I mean, as of writing this, only 2 people have done an E4 without Urshifu, and one of them is the creator of the game himself. Team Magma wants to blow up the moon or something, and they're doing that by invading NASA's HQ. I don't really understand the motive here, but I definitely don't want that to happen. Just like all of the evil team section, these Magma Grunts are riddled with the same hack items from both hideouts. The first and only fight with Courtney guards the top floor of the Space Center, and I make a bit of a mistake on this fight. The plan was to get my Excadrill in on Xurkitree and set up a Rapid Spin to boost my speed, sweeping not only Xurkitree, but Dugtrio and Mega Charizard as well. I heavily underestimated the damage I would take from Grass Knot and Poison though, and ended up having to sack Slowbro. Slowbro was a pretty tough loss honestly, but considering I definitely could have wiped because of this mistake, it was a small price to pay. Remember Mount Pyre Tag? Yeah, well there's another one of those against Maxie and Tabitha. Thankfully this one doesn't have permanent Tailwind, but it does have 2 Megas and permanent Sand. Oh, and you don't have to deal with Shell's Delcatty being useless this time. Steven honestly has a pretty solid team. It can be a little tricky, no pun intended, but this becomes a lot easier if you're able to let Dialga get Trick Room up. I start by leading Kecleon, who's pre-damaged to die to Tyranitar. This is really important, so that T-Tar doesn't click Taunt on Dialga. Kecleon fakes out the Landorus, so it doesn't KO Dialga, and Kecleon gets sacked to the Tyranitar. Trick Room goes up, and it's time to fire the cannons. Did you, as the viewer, even know I had this Pokemon? In comes big Glock Tillery. This thing is pretty horrible throughout most of the game, but the one place it shines is in Trick Room. Octillery always KOs Landorus with Water Spout, and it does a massive chunk to Tyranitar. Because of the bug in Run and Bun where if you feint the Pokemon on the right with a spread move, the Mon on the left takes damage as if it were a single battle. This means Tyranitar can die to Water Spout crit. This would actually be horrible. It means Dialga would hold onto its Dragon Gem, which baits out Ferrothorn instead of Moltres, which is faster than Octillery in Trick Room and KOs it with a Power Whip. Octillery fires another spout into the Moltres and Heatran, as Dialga cleans up the Heatran with an Aura Sphere. In comes the last two Mons, Ferrothorn and Dialga. The plan is always to sack Octillery to Ferrothorn, but she has one more trick up her sleeve. If Octillery is able to dodge a Power Whip and hit a Fire Blast, she can live and get the KO on Ferrothorn. Too easy. Here to go. Oh my god! What a fucking legend, dude. Now target Dialga. Oh wait, I think it might be dead. Wait, no, it's a range, right? Target Dialga. Oh shit! Oh, Trick Room's still up. Oh my god! Oh. Alright, chill, dude. Good shit. It truly is a shame that she'll never leave the box again. After Space Center, you get access to Dive, which gives you access to the Scanner. This item can be traded to this guy in Slateport City for any of the choice items, as well as leftovers and Assault Vest. But the catch is that you can only have one of them at any given time. Remember the leftovers heist against Tate and Liza though? If you do manage to steal the Hoopa's leftovers, you're able to have 2 of these powerful items, which is obviously a massive deal. It feels pretty surreal to step foot into Sootopolis City. This is another city that gives me major nostalgia. The music and beautiful watercolor and incredibly unique houses and layout. God, dude, Emerald is such a good game. I try to repel Manip once again for the best odds of catching a Beedrill, and lo and behold, we actually do it. This is far and away the best encounter here, and one of the best encounters in the game. Mega Beedrill with 150 attack, 145 speed, and adaptability goes so goddamn insane. The final evil team section of the entire game, Seafloor Cavern. What could possibly be the gimmick with this one? Permanent hail? Rain, maybe? No, of course not. It's permanent Aurora Veil. This is, as expected, so hard to deal with. This second grunt in particular has crumbled 2 of my previous runs, and even wiped attempt 320. This time would be different though. I was determined. I start with Sceptile, in Overgrow, firing a Leaf Storm at Swampert, KOing it through the Veil. In comes Gyarados for either a Waterfall or Ice Fang, and a pivot into Golisopod for exit into Urshifu gets the bear in safely. Urshifu fires a Brick Break to break the Aurora Veil and chunk Gyarados as it hits me with a Waterfall. A final Wicked Blow, which I used a rare candy to get, takes down the Serpent and brings in Haxorus. The biggest risk here is Haxorus critting Mega Steelix more than once. If that happens, Muck can see a KO with both Focus Punch and Knockoff, but Steelix clutches up and is only dead to Focus Punch. This Muck is equipped with a Bright Powder, but since Smart Strike never misses, Steelix can keep spamming it and not have to worry about Focus Punch at all. Staraptor Aerial Ace always KOs Roserade through Bright Powder, and Bruxish gets walled by Hydreigon. The rest of Seafloor Cavern is no joke. Grunts 3 and 4 are a mini gauntlet of sorts, where you once again have to use the same 6 Pokemon. And I ended up having to risk Magnezone on a high roll crit after accidentally letting Huntail set up a Shell Smash. The more I think about it, I feel like Magnezone has had to dodge a lot of crits this run. My bad, dude. 2 fights left until I never have to fight another Magma or Aqua member again in my life. First is Shelly, the last fight in permanent Aurora Veil. Oh my god, ew! Wait, that was actually cool though. I lead with Mega Beedrill to Brick Break and take care of the Veil, followed by a Poison Jab to secure the KO. Gengar swaps in to take the KO on Beedrill as I swap into Ursaluna to tank it. Another pivot to Hydreigon to set up Tailwind eventually takes down the Gengar after he's done spamming Destiny Bond, which brings in Hawlucha for a fast KO with close combat. Lizzie takes it like a champ and easily picks up the KO. In walks Galar Darmanitan for Icicle Crash, and for some reason, I completely messed up my pre-damage on Golisopod. Like, I didn't even get close, and I have no idea how I got this math so wrong. Because of this mistake, I end up having to sack Ursaluna, which is normally a pretty solid mon. Mine didn't have guts, however, so I really didn't mind sacking it to keep the run alive. Urshifu takes the late bear's place and sends a CC into Darmanitan. Because Urshifu sees a fast KO on the Kyurem and the Slowbro, it just goes in order. Urshifu also picks up the KO on Kyurem. And speaking of, why is he so small? I just looked it up. Kyurem's 9'10". Why is he so small? He's a little baby. A final pivot into Golisopod on Surf exits the bug out into Beedrill, who U-turns into Hydreigon to pick up the KO. Shelly down, and all that's left is Archie. The good news is that we're done dealing with Aurora Veil, but the bad news is, oh my god, Archie's team is brutal. The better news is that I got a naughty 31 IV Weavile as my Seafloor Cavern encounter, which is actually pretty unreal. Definitely a potential Elite Four mon. Remember back in Winona Split where I was really dreading missing out on Barraskewda? Well, this is why. Swift Swim Pokemon are really important for this fight. Barraskewda especially. I originally wanted to delay routes 124 and 128 for potential roamer encounters, but I figured I might as well try for Skewds on these two to maximize my chances at beating Archie and keeping the run alive. Skewda. Damn it. Alright, buddy. No, don't. It's gonna be fucking Joel, man. Fuck! Just what I was looking for. Alright, Golduck, you better not let me down, bro. Please be good. Ooh! Yes! That's good! As it turns out, though, Golduck has Swift Swim and a really good nature as well. Maybe this is exactly what I needed. Archie leads with, you guessed it, Kyogre. The plan is simple. Lead Beedrill and U-turn into Sceptile. This can go one of two ways. Either Beedrill crits Kyogre, putting it into range of its Custap Berry, or it doesn't crit at all. If it crits, Sceptile can just detect, wasting the Custap Berry turn. If not, Sceptile just picks up the KO immediately. In comes Overqwil, and this thing is a major threat. Just like with Maxie, it's pretty common to sack a few Pokemon in this fight, and Mienshao is perfect considering that it's completely useless. This gives Golduck a free switch, and obliterates the pufferfish with a Surf. Superior's next for a slow Leaf Storm, and Beedrill tanks it, followed by a KO with U-turn. In comes my own Overqwil, pre-damage to below 25% HP to activate its Custap Berry, and explode on the incoming Zapdos. And the should bait in Swampert. Okay. Exactly according to plan. Why? Oh, I do have fast 2 at KO1. Oh, okay, wait. Wait, but I fucking... Oh, I was calcing Blade. Well, this is fine. If I had to guess, this is pretty likely to click Autotomize. You know what, bro? Fuck off, bro. I don't care. Click Autotomize, you pussy. You're so bad! You're so bad! I'm still faster! You are ass, bro. He's nimble as fuck. Good shit, Archie. Wow, bro. Wow, good shit, bro. All right, all that's left is the big bad Pert. This thing's a fucking demon, dude. But it's always clicking Earthquake, and we always go Gyarados, and then we are never dead to Liquidation Crit. GG. Suck my cock. Fuck Seafloor Cavern. They can't hold me back. Our best raw? Like, what kind of raw? Ah! How's that? Let's fucking go, baby! We're through! No more Aqua Hideout, no more Magma, no more bullshit. Those idiots, Archie and Maxie, made the weather all crazy. It's like I'm living in Virginia or something with all this erratic weather. Speaking of which, the next few routes before being able to get the 8th badge are on routes with changing weather. Some of them are in permanent rain, some are in sun, and some are even in rain and electric terrain. I head back to Sootopolis to watch Groudon and Kyogre flirt with each other and head into the Cave of Origin for another chance at Dragapult. I land a Grimmsnarl, which is also a really solid encounter. The big highlight of these routes is this fight with Relly and Ian, one of the tougher fights in the game. It's in permanent sun, and the Cinderace has this weird bug with Libero and Weather, where it sees that all of its moves are boosted by the sun or something like that. It's a really tough fight, but I set it up in a way where Excadrill holding an Assault Vest sweeps nearly the entire thing. I pick up some of my last few encounters, including a Sableye and Pacifidlog and a Togekiss and Sky Pillar, then head back to Sootopolis City so Rayquaza can cockblock Kyogre and Groudon. There's nothing left standing in the way of my 8th and final gym badge. Before any gym battles though, it's time to hunt for some roamers. After dealing with all the legendary nonsense, you get the Devon Radar, which allows you to check for a certain group of roamer legendaries on any given route. You also get 2 Master Balls, one in Aqua Hideout and the other in Victory Road, so they're guaranteed catches. The only issue is that it can take so goddamn long to find them. Like, I have to keep going in and out of the route to try and reset it, and man, Dexa, dude, I swear, there could have been a better way. Like, there literally had to be. Did your nephew design this mechanic or something? Like, what? The possible roaming legendaries are Latios, Latias, all 4 Genies, and Cresselia. Latios, Anemoris, and Thundurus are the big hits here, whereas Landorus, Latias, and Cresselia are okay. Tornadus is honestly kind of trash, which is kind of a shame. I roll Thunderous on my first try, which I'm pretty happy with. I was definitely hoping for Latios, but I absolutely am not complaining here at all. The possible roaming legendaries are Latios, Latias, all 4 genies, and Cresselia. Latios, Enamorus, and Thunderous are the big hits here, whereas Landorus, Latias, and Cresselia are okay. Tornadus is honestly kind of trash, which is kind of a shame. I roll Thunderous on my first try, which I'm pretty happy with. I was definitely hoping for Latios, but I absolutely am not complaining here at all. Dexa really cooked with the layout of Sutopolis' gym. This place is riddled with scary double battles, back-to-back fights, and terrifying weather teams. For example, the first fight in the gym is against this double battle, but after beating it, you immediately fall through the ice and are trapped until you beat Beauty Bridget. It's such a creative layout, even though it can be really tough. I made a pretty huge mistake on Bridget, and forgot that my Thunderous wouldn't see a KO on Greninja after it changes its type with Protean. I pretty much have no other options at this point, and it really does seem like Magnezone is always getting risked. I have no other option, and I have to sack Magnezone to keep the run alive. Urshifu picks up the revenge kill, and a Volt Switch from Thunderous on Floatzel lets Urshifu pick up another one on Goodra. Rest in peace, Magnezone. That one honestly stings a bit. Bethany is for sure the toughest fight in here. Enemy overquills are always horrifying to deal with in rain, and I felt sick to my stomach after looking at calcs against this Feraligatr. Somehow, I got through this one deathless. Massive shout out to Golduck once again for being so goddamn clutch in these rain fights. Okay, I know I just said Bethany was the toughest fight in the gym, but technically I would say this back-to-back against Brianna and Pearl is harder. Thankfully, Urshifu literally obliterates the second fight. I start by leading Urshifu and immediately swapping into Electrode to Volt Switch back into Urshifu. Urshifu takes the KO and baits Excelgor, who is the biggest problem here. It does a ton of damage with Life Orb and can set up spikes, and my best answer to deal with it is Altaria. Mega Altaria walls it pretty well, and can defog to avoid getting multiple layers of spikes up. From here, Steelix walls the Togi while getting itself low enough to bait Gothitelle for a Psychic while holding a Shed Shell. Urshifu comes in on a Psychic and Wicked blows it into Oblivion, and Sceptile handles the Whiscash. Against Pearl, Urshifu sees a fast KO with Choice Scarf on literally all 5 of her Pokemon, which means it just goes in party order. Cryogonal falls, Sigilif falls, and in comes Electivire. Wicked Blow is a range here, so Beedrill swaps in to tank the Focus Blast and U-turns into Electrode. Another pivot back into Beedrill for a second U-turn sets Urshifu back up to chain a KO with Close Combat on both Beartic and Walrein. I don't even really know how to classify Juan. Is he a Water Gym Leader? Ice? What is Salamence doing here? Sneasler? I don't know, man. Either way, it's another scary double battle. Juan leads with Sneasler and Mega Glalie, and myself with Urshifu, who's holding a Choice Scarf, and Togedemaru. Urshifu takes the instant KO on Glalie with a Close Combat as Togi lands a Fake Out on Sneasler. Urshifu fires a second Close Combat into Keldeo, while both of Juan's Pokemon fire into Togi as she Spiky Shields. Keldeo falls to the third CC as Togi swaps into Basculegion on Sneasler's Close Combat. In comes Juan's very own Basculegion, who sees a fast KO on mine with Spirit Shackle. Urshifu swaps into Togekiss on the incoming CC as I sack Wacko 2 the Sableye to Basculegion. Togekiss is also holding a Sticky Barb, so he's always dead to Poison Jab after a CC, and Urshifu takes Sableye's place. Togi swaps into, Togi, and Urshifu Wicked blows the fish. The reason Togedemaru was holding the Flame Orb was so Salamence always saw a guaranteed KO with Fire Blast, rather than being able to potentially attack Urshifu. Urshifu Wicked blows the Salamence as Togi Spiky Shields again, followed by yet another Wicked blow to KO the Mets, and a pivot into my own Sneasler on Juan's CC. Finally, Sneasler drops a Fake Out on Glastrier while Urshifu KOs Juan's Sneasler with a Wicked blow. Double targeting the horse takes it down, and just like that we have our 8th and final gym badge. All that's left now is Victory Road. Oh, and some optional fights that guard useful items like the eject button, but that's way less cool to say. I take my Victory Road encounter, which is a Como-O with solid IVs. After a few trainers in Victory Road, I also pick up the second Master Ball and roll my second Roamer, which is a timid Latios. This was absolutely the best encounter I could have possibly gotten, and nearly a lock for the Elite Four. At this point, I'm free to play pretty sack heavily. My box is full of guys that don't really offer much to the Elite Four, so I'm willing to sack if necessary. Every trainer in Victory Road has a Mega, and everything was going smoothly until cool trainer Samuel. Samuel has a Mega Blaziken, which you'd think would be no problem after how many of them I fought across all these rival teams. The plan here was to switch Hydreigon in on Electros with a Lagging Tail, which would always make him move second so he could get a slow U-turn into a Mon that could KO it and chain it to Blaziken. But I didn't realize that the Eel saw a KO with 3 rolls of knockoff. And of course, by my luck, it found the roll and knocked off my Lagging Tail. This is really bad. I don't have a way to safely KO the Electros and Blaziken, so things were going off the rails fast. I made a huge misplay here by not sacking something to Electros. I was incredibly nervous. I was so close to the end, but my party was full of great Pokemon, and I didn't want to have to lose one of them. Straptor takes the KO as I forget about Speed Boost, and this Blaziken is about to sweep my entire team. I need to figure this out fast. At this point, I'm forced to sack at least 2 Pokemon, and the only ones that make sense are Excadrill and Thundurus. I really don't think I need them for the Elite Four, but it definitely makes things a lot harder. Straptor is forced to dodge a crit here, otherwise it's a guaranteed wipe. I can really only chalk that one up to plot armor. I can't be making these kinds of mistakes this late into the run. Thankfully, the rest of Victory Road went smoothly, and all that's left is Vito. Like I said before, I can really afford to sack some less useful Pokemon to keep my E4 hopefuls alive, and that's exactly what I do here. Vito leads with Indeedee, who wants to Dazzling Gleam my Houndoom. Houndoom walls this thing pretty hard with Assault Vest and takes the KO without a worry. Pheromosa dances in for a random move, and I'm forced to sack Houndoom. Primarina just barely survives a max roll close combat crit, which is insane to think about. Like, what on earth is Pheromosa? Before the battle, I taught Primarina Hyper Voice because of another AI quirk where the opponent will never click substitute if you have a sound move. Primarina with a Citrus Berry combined with Draining Kiss healing puts Primarina at just enough HP to always bait a KO from regular Alakazam. A pivot into Hydreigon on the Psychic move, then into Gyarados on Dazzling Gleam sets Alakazam up to see a guaranteed KO with Expanding Force. Vito isn't ready for my trap though, and Gyarados turns into a Dark type after Mega Evolving, meaning he's completely immune to Expanding Force. Hawlucha is next for a CC, and I say goodbye to Gyarados. Happy MILF Monday in Valhalla, buddy. Avalugg takes the revenge kill and gets sacked to Aggron, as Hydreigon comes in to break the sturdy with U-turn. Lilligant sends a close combat Aggron's way and launches another one towards Cloyster before falling, which leaves Hydreigon to clean up. Just like that, the level cap is now 99, the highest it will ever be. Every single mandatory trainer has been dealt with, and all that's left is the optionals. None of these fights are too bad for the most part, but that didn't stop me from playing like an absolute buffoon on some of them. Oh my god! Don't kill me. Oh, fuck! That doesn't matter. Imagine that mattered. Well, it doesn't matter, though, because when Ferrothorn comes in... Oh. What? I was sacking him anyway. Don't. Rip, Camel. Rip. Fuck, man! Fuck this fight, bro! Bye, buddy. Everybody say goodbye! You were great on Space Tag. We got a crit. One last one for the road. No, my Relic Crown! Not the Relic Crown! We're here. We've done it. Over 2,000 hours, 500 days, and so much passion and energy put into this challenge. My first time at the Elite Four, and I was determined to make it my last. This is the run. Something feels so special about this attempt. I want to mention for my own ego's sake that a lot of people spend months on a single attempt, and this run began on June 29th. My Elite Four date, August 3rd. Not to mention that I took a few days off to plan the Elite Four, and a few more days off due to being sick with COVID. This one run was all over the span of a single month. Chapter 7, The End Complete. It's time to introduce the team. There's a bit of a tradition with Run and Bun Elite Fours where everybody brings a new Pokemon that hasn't been champed before. There's also a bit of a theme. As of writing this, there has only been one Elite Four team without a Fairy type, and I was ready to be the second. To start us off, Urshifu. This guy is too good not to bring, and it's the only thing in my entire box that can KO Glacia's Calyrex. It really just seems like a no-brainer. Next, Latios. This is definitely no surprise, although I did go ahead and use 3 of my 9 remaining heart scales to change its nature from timid to modest. Golisopod. This Pokemon has been so damn good. Its raw utility. It really is like having 2 free eject buttons per fight. She's here to keep the rest of the team safe. Sneasler. I'm always blown away by how incredibly good this Pokemon is. It's like Infernape if Infernape was cool, not on fire, and served infinitely more. Sceptile. Grass types are really valuable for this Elite Four, especially with Wallace being the champion. And finally, my new Pokemon that has never been champed before, Kommo-o. I honestly didn't get to use this Pokemon for much of the run at all. I mean, I didn't get it until Victory Road, but I found some pretty insane tech that would be electric if it all worked out. That's the team. Hours of prepping, sitting in front of the calculator, crunching numbers. It all leads up to this. With the Elite Four, you get to choose 2 members to fight as single battles and 2 to fight as double battles. I went with Sydney and Phoebe as doubles and Glacia and Drake as singles. Rather than sitting here and narrating over each and every Elite Four fight, I think it's better if I leave it as raw and unfiltered as possible. Being able to watch it really shows off the intensity of an Elite Four in a game as difficult as this. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. This is easily the most surreal moment I've had as a streamer and a content creator, and the most nervous I've probably ever been in my entire life. I had nearly 2,000 people watching, which was simply unreal for me. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. I've put so much time and passion into this game, and it would really mean the world to me. Welcome, Challenger. I am Sydney of the Elite Four. Let me explain the rules. You will face 4 of greatest trainers in the region. All right, Dexa. To truly test your battling skills, we require a balance of 2 single and 2 double battles. You are free to choose which members to battle in each style. I like that look you're giving me. I guess you'll give me a good match. That's good, looking real good. So tell me, what's it gonna be? Doubles. Let's fucking go! Let's run this shit into the ground, baby! So, Sydney leads with an Incineroar and an Articuno. This Incineroar is Intimidate, which really ruined all of my plans. I originally wanted to bring Weavile, but my Weavile has the ability Pressure, which means he is affected by Intimidate. Now, Sneasler, on the other hand, does a lot of the stuff that Weavile does. They're not the same Pokemon, though. Weavile, or Sneasler rather, has Inner Focus, which is one of the most broken abilities in the entire game, for chaining. It means that you cannot get your attack dropped by Intimidate. So, we're going to fake out Incineroar. If we don't fake out Incineroar, he will fake out our Urshifu, and we will lose the video game. So we're going to fake out Incineroar, and we're going to Choice Scarf Wicked Blow the Articuno, and it's going to be a completely free turn. So fake out the Incineroar, Wicked Blow the Articuno. Okay. This will always and forever bait Sydney's own Urshifu, who is holding a Focus Sash. Now, Sneasler cannot kill that through the Focus Sash, but with Toxic HP, Urshifu never sees a kill on Sneasler at -1 next turn. Very important. Okay. So, Urshifu is always attacking Incineroar here with close combat. Always. There's nothing else he can do. Always sees a slow kill. Incineroar is completely random when it does. So we're going to take it out with a close combat. Urshifu is going to go into Golisopod on a close combat. Golisopod is holding a Rocky Helmet, which will break Urshifu's Focus Sash. And since I'm at the correct HP, I will get exited out into the next Pokemon that I want to choose. Close combat max roll is 102. So we CC Incineroar and go into Golisopod. Goodbye, Incineroar. This always kills because we were not intimidated due to Inner Focus. Now, very important. Very, very important. Sneasler at -2 defense always exactly baits Gyarados. It should always be exactly Gyarados. Oh, sorry, at -1. Sorry. -1 defense always exactly baits Gyarados. Sorry. I was looking at the number 2 on my calc. Rocky Helmet breaks his sash and we get exited out. We're gonna go into Sceptile. Sceptile's holding an Iron Ball at exactly 133 HP. We're gonna get Toxic Ticked, not regular poison, but Toxic Ticked, down to 118 HP. If this is off, we could wipe. And this is gonna bait Gyarados for a slow kill onto Sneasler. Perfect. Again, this Gyarados has Intimidate, but our Sneasler has Inner Focus, so it doesn't matter. Now, originally, this line was going to be Sceptile, Protect here, and kill the Gyarados. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm not Baron. I would die. So I'm gonna kill the Urshifu with close combat here. And Sceptile at 118 HP is always exactly dead to regular Gyarados Lash Out. Sneasler's also dead to Gyarados at -1 defense, but because our Sceptile's holding an Iron Ball, it will always attack Sceptile with Lash Out. This is very important. So we're going to close combat the Urshifu so that it can't hit us through Detect because of its ability Unseen Fist, and we're going to click Detect. Now, if Gyarados does not attack my Sceptile here, we lose. Beautiful. Goodbye, Urshifu. Now this should be Lash Out into Sceptile. Crit does not matter. Yes, okay. Now, this always baits Overquill for a fast kill on Sceptile. Since I'm Iron Ball, it always sees a fast kill. And because of our HP, it exactly only baits Fell Stinger because of Fell Stinger AI. People have done this in the E4 before, but if you don't understand Fell Stinger AI, if the AI isn't max attack and Fell Stinger sees a kill, it has a total score of +21 minimum, which is higher than most everything in the game. So this is always Fell Stinger into Sceptile despite seeing a kill with literally every other move. Sneasler's gonna pick up the KO on Gyarados, and Sceptile is going to go into Urshifu on Fell Stinger. Double Detective Real, 50 gift subs. Urshifu on Fell Stinger. Gyarados dies. And the last mon is Darkrai. Now, the reason why that was so important is so that Urshifu is not intimidated by the Overqwil. Because if I am, I don't ever bait, or I don't ever always kill the Darkrai. Okay, Fell Stinger crit there never would have put me into range of Gunk Shot, which is perfect. But it didn't crit, so it doesn't matter. Now, Sneasler at -3 defense is always dead to everything from Overqwil, except for exactly Icy Wind at -3 special defense. Icy Wind max roll is 110, so it can't Icy Wind. This will always go for a kill on Sneasler. It never sees a kill on Urshifu. Max roll Gunk Shot is 169. So, this is always either clicking Crunch or Gunk Shot on Sneasler. We're gonna go into Como-O. It can never see a kill with Fell Stinger either, actually. It's just Crunch or Gunk Shot. I believe ads are done. I'm running ads in between fights just so ads don't play mid-fight. Okay, so Sneasler's always dead to Crunch or Gunk Shot. Como-O's never dead to Gunk Shot crit. So we're gonna go into Como-O with a Citrus Berry. Urshifu always sees a fast kill with Choice Scarf on Darkrai. So we're gonna close combat. Bye, Darkrai. Okay. The last mon is Overqwil. Show me Crunch if you're real. That's a good boy. Let's go. Okay. And that's GG. Como-O close combat and Urshifu close combat both kill Overqwil. Neither of us are intimidated. Urshifu close combat min roll is 183. Let me just triple check this. 183 plus Como-O close combat is 133. 316. Overqwil has 307 HP. So we're going to close combat. And then we're going to close combat. And that's Sydney. And that's Sydney. That's Sydney. Maybe some of you guys see it. Maybe some of you guys see it. Just you wait. It gets cooler. Ahaha, I'm Phoebe of the Elite Four. I did my training on Mount Pyre. While I trained, I gained the ability to commune with ghost-type Pokemon. Yes, the bond I developed with Pokemon is extremely tight. Speaking of that, your Pokemon took a beating from Sydney, eh? Alright, let's go. Phoebe doubles. Her lead is Decidueye and Chandelure. My Pokemon are very intentionally at this HP. It might look scary, but this is all for a reason. Urshifu is going to click Sucker Punch on Chandelure. With Expert Belt, this always exactly kills because I am maximum possible attack. And Sneasler is going to click Fake Out on Decidueye. This is going to bait in Gengar. I could have clicked Wicked Blow, but it doesn't matter. This should always bait a fast kill from Gengar. Gengar is the only Pokemon on her team that is faster. I'm calcing regular Gengar. Sees a fast kill. Now, this is perfect because Urshifu can Sucker Punch this once again, not have to deal with Shadow Tag, and then Poison Jab kills the Decidueye. Sucker Punch kills Gengar. We chain 3 right here. My 2 best Pokemon. Sucker Punch Gengar, Poison Jab Decidueye. Now, this is where my HP really matters. This is where my HP really matters. The reason I am 93 HP, okay? So this is going to bait Lunala and Blastoise. Blastoise needs to come in on... It's only coming in on the left. Lunala comes in on the right because it sees a fast kill on Urshifu. Blastoise, the only 2 mons left are Blastoise, Blastoise, Blastus, and Giratina. So they're both slower than Sneasler. So it goes for a slow kill. I needed Sneasler to be at exactly 93 HP to always show a Muddy Water kill from Blastoise. Now, very important. Blastoise isn't actually going to click Muddy Water. The only reason I'm at this HP is so that I can make him come in rather than Giratina. Because if Giratina comes in, I completely lose. There's nothing I can do. So, we're gonna really manipulate the AI here. If the AI sees a kill with Fake Out, it will always click it. It sees it as a priority kill, which is essentially a fast kill. That is why Urshifu's at 22 HP. Blastoise is always clicking Fake Out on my Urshifu. Sneasler is at 93 to bait in Blastoise, like I said. Now, Lunala. There is an AI in Run and Bun, if you don't know. If a Pokemon sees a kill with Meteor Beam... No, it doesn't matter to them in focus. If it sees a kill with Meteor Beam, it will, and it has a Power Herb, it will always click it. Always. So, that exactly works out for Lunala. This is where this is really, really, really important. Lunala has a power. Blastoise is fake outing Urshifu. We are going to go into Sceptile. The reason Sceptile is toxic rather than regular poison is because if this fake out crits me, it might be bad later. But with toxic, it doesn't matter. Urshifu into Sceptile on fake out. Now, Sneasler. This is very important. Lunala should always be clicking Meteor Beam onto one of us. Doesn't really matter. We are going to knock off the Lunala mid-charge so that the Meteor Beam does not go off this turn and it essentially wastes its turn. Please tell me this works. Yes, okay. This is Meteor Beam. See, there, that's why we Toxic. That's why we Toxic. Now this should always be Meteor Beam. Yes! Yes! Meteor Beam doesn't actually go off this turn. Gets the +1 special attack. Okay, so from here, we see a kill on Blastoise with Grass Gem, Leaf Storm, and Sneasler can just kill the Lunala. Let me double check my Sceptile's HP. I'm going to take 30 damage. Yep, okay, perfect. I should take 30 damage from Toxic, turn 2. Sceptile is going to Leaf Storm Blastoise with Grass Gem, and we're going to knock off the Lunala again. Lunala dies. Blastoise goes down to the Leaf Storm with Grass Gem, and then all that's left is Giratina. Giratina is the last Pokemon alive. Beautiful. I should take 30 and be put at exactly 147, I think. Is that, what was I? Or no, 144. I was at 174, I think. Okay. This turn is very important, and this turn took me it was some of the longest prep for the entire Elite Four. It was exactly what to do on this turn. I ended up going with Toxic Sceptile for this exact purpose. If I was poisoned, I would be in range of Shadow Sneak, which would be very, very bad. If I didn't have Grass Gem, in another line, it could Poltergeist me. It was all messed up. But I'm at 144 HP on Sceptile exactly. Shadow Sneak never sees a kill. It never sees a kill on Sceptile. So, we are both faster than Giratina, but Sneasler, also at 93, always baits a kill from Shadow Sneak. So because it's a priority move, it will always click it on my Sneasler. I hope. So, I'm going to click Detect with Sceptile. It doesn't really matter. And then Sneasler is going to go into Golisopod holding a Jaboca Berry. I'm exactly damaged to where Shadow Sneak should send me out. Perfect. Beautiful. Jaboca Berry goes off. That is a little bit of chip that we need. Emergency exits out into Latios. Latios is holding a Cassib Berry. Technically, I didn't actually need it, but originally going into this, Latios was poisoned, and if I didn't have a Cassib Berry, I could be dead to Shadow Sneak, Max Roll Crit into poison, and I didn't want to risk that. So, Sceptile from here at 99 HP, always dead to Shadow Sneak. We are going to go into Como-O, and then Min Roll Draco Meteor from Latios is 95%. So, it's going to click Shadow Sneak on my Latios, probably. We just take the kill here. We're faster, and we KO. And that's Phoebe. Okay, went for the kill. Perfect. 2 down. 3 to go. And now this is the one where we make or break the run. This is where the run lives or dies. Glacia singles. Welcome, my name is Glacia of the Elite Four. I've traveled from afar to Hoenn so that I may hone my ice skills. But all I have seen are challenges by weak trainers and their Pokemon. I hope you can show me you're not like the rest. Let's have a good battle. Okay, no going back now. Sneasler is my lead. This Mamoswine has a Focus Sash, so we're just gonna fake out close combat. There's a very specific reason we have Life Orb. There's 2, actually. We are going to close combat, which always kills. Now, there's a cool thing with Sneasler on this fight. Sneasler always sees a fast kill on every single Pokemon on this team, besides one, which is Calyrex Ice. So, with that said, it always baits Calyrex Ice. How do I get Calyrex Ice in? Who the fuck knows, man? We're gonna close combat. The fact that it didn't, like, make me confirm who I'm attacking because it's a single battle scared the shit out of me, but it's alright. This baits Calyrex Ice. If it doesn't, I'm going to punch my monitor as hard as I possibly can. We're at exactly 80%. Please show me Calyrex Ice. Please. Yes? Oh my god. Okay, that sprite is really cool. Holy. So, this thing has 2 attacking moves. 1, high horsepower. Absolutely obliterates my Sneasler. 2, Glacial Lance. Absolutely obliterates my Sneasler. So the biggest problem for me for a long time was what the hell do I do to get my Urshifu in? Because I am straight up dead to Glacial Lance. This is one of the most unbalanced Pokemon I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know whose nephew designed this on Bring Your Son to Work Day or whatever the hell. It's 50-50 when it clicks. It can never substitute. It can never Swords Dance. We're gonna go into Latios, who's holding a Focus Sash. Latios has Levitate, so it can't high horsepower me. Perfect. Perfect. Now, I could have originally my line. He got the crit. That is so good for my morale. That is so good for my morale. Okay, so originally my line was go Golisopod on the random move and exit out into Urshifu. But high horsepower does like literally nothing to me. So if I got Glacial Lanced and it crit me, I was like always fucked for the entire fight. So it was like 50-50 crit, and I was just screwed. So I was like, fuck, what do I do about this? This can only ever click Glacial Lance on me because I'm Levitate. It can't high horsepower. So this pivot allows me to go into Golisopod with higher HP on guaranteed Glacial Lance rather than the chance at it. So we go into Golisopod with a Citrus Berry. If this crits me, that sets up a potential wipe scenario. But there's still a lot that has to go wrong. Always Glacial Lance. Please. Please. Come on. Yes! 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 That's such good HP! That's such good HP. Oh my god. Okay. Urshifu. Okay. Urshifu with a Dark Gem. Always kills this with Wicked Blow. We are never dead. Exactly never dead to Kyurem White Ice Beam. Wicked Blow always kills. Get the fuck out of here, Calyrex. Get out of here! A nerve has been accounted for. Don't worry. That is not where I wanted to use my Citrus Berry. This always baits Enamorous for Moonblast. That is it. You might be thinking, what the fuck on my team takes a Moonblast? I was also thinking that same thing for 3 days! But I found it. I found it. My Sceptile is plus special defense nature. I exactly don't die to Moonblast crit with an eject button. Always Moonblast. It can't do anything else. We go into Sceptile with an eject button, eject out into Sneasler. Sceptile eats this, he eats Max Roll Crit. Max Roll Crit is 95%. Eject button switches me out into Sneasler. Sneasler with exactly a Life Orb and max attack allows me to kill this with Fake Out Poison Jab through leftovers. So we're gonna Fake Out. Poison Jab always kills. And this, from here, remember what I said at the beginning? Where Sneasler sees a fast kill on every single Pokemon that isn't Calyrex? Well, it just goes down the line. Now, what's also important here is my Sneasler is at exactly 60%. Exactly 60%. Which means Abomasnow exactly sees a kill with Blizzard and only Blizzard. Now, since our Golisopod did not get crit, I should heal from 130 HP. After I switch in, I heal with my Citrus Berry immediately. Go back above 50%. Go back above 50%. Never die to Mega Abomasnow Blizzard crit. Blizzard crit max roll is 160. And then from there we win. Give me my Citrus. Yes, okay. Always Blizzard. It can never miss because once he Mega Evolves, he sets up Hail. And from here, Blizzard max roll. 160 damage. We should get exited out a second time. Perfect. If we were to be crit 3 high rolls of Glacial Lance, we could have been dead to the max roll of crit from the Arctovish. I had a backup, but we're going to go into Komao. Oh my god, I forgot about Hail. Oh my god, I just lost. I just lost. I just lost. I just lost. I'm overcoat. You guys are too smart, man. You guys are too smart. Reversal #1, baby. Reversal #1. We're overcoat. Fuck this Hail, dude. Fuck this Hail. We don't care. We have a Choice Scarf. We're faster. Show me that Arctovish. Slush Rush? I wipe my ass with Slush Rush. I wipe my ass with Slush Rush. Reversal. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Get the hell out of here! Kyurem White? What the hell is a Kyurem White? And that's Glacia. Absolutely beautiful. Cinema. The setup. The chain, the triple. Let's go. Let's go. I am the last of the Pokemon League Elite Four, Drake, the Dragon Master. In their natural state, Pokemon are wild, living things. They are free. At times, they hinder us. At times, they help us. For us to battle with Pokemon as partners, do you know what it takes? Do you know what is needed? If you don't, then you will never prevail over me. You only got one choice left. Are you gonna fight or are you gonna run? Let me just say, Drake, you're not the Dragon Master. I'm the one about to drag my balls across your face with Como-o, dude. Let's go. All right, last Elite Four member. Leads with a Dragapult. My Urshifu just kills this with Life Orb Sucker Punch. Now, this always baits Reshiram. Always Reshiram. Reshiram can only click Blue Flare. Blue Flare can miss, it can burn. Neither matters. We're gonna go into Como-o. If I went to Golisopod, I could die to Blue Flare. This thing is so hard to deal with. Como-o takes Blue Flare just fine, though. It takes crit. I have a Citrus Berry just in case. Okay, he hits it. Yeah, why is he so small? Okay. Perfect. Max roll, Blue Flare is 126. This always baits Dragon Pulse. Golisopod is never dead to Dragon Pulse crit, and I always exit out. I also have a Roap Berry to do a little bit of chip damage to this. Always Dragon Pulse here. Perfect. This never kills me with a crit. Very important. Easy. This is Roap Berry, gets him a little bit of chip, and we're going to go into Latios. Pre-damage does not matter here. Latios has a Choice Scarf that allows us to outspeed Reshiram. We actually outspeed anyway. It's not specifically for this guy, but my min roll of Draco Meteor is 95%. That's why we needed the Roap Berry, just like with the Giratina. We're going to Draco Meteor, and this guy's going to die. Goodbye, Reshiram. This is one of the hardest mons I had to prep in the entire Elite Four. This thing is unbelievably dangerous. It is so scary. 150 special attack. It hits like a truck. This always baits Crawdon for Lash Out. It can only click Lash Out here. Now, I could go to Urshifu and kill it, but it has a Focus Sash. So it will kill me with Close Combat or Crab Hammer or whatever it may be. We're gonna go Urshifu still on a Lash Out. I don't want to go Sneasler on a Lash Out because it's a little bit too much damage. So we're gonna go Urshifu. Let me just double check. It's always Lash Out. We ×4 resist this. Crawdon learns Dragon Dance. Come on. It's a cool animation. Okay, this is always Close Combat. It can never Dragon Dance because I see a fast 2-hit KO through Sash. So this should always be Close Combat. Close Combat min roll is 204. Crab Hammer max roll is 202. So there's no overlap. Always Close Combat into Sneasler. Sneasler takes this, even with crit. This is exactly why we scaled defense. Okay, perfect. Now, we lower his defense. This is why we have Shell Bell. Fake Out. The only reason we have a Shell Bell is in case we got crit. Fake Out into Poison Jab always kills. We're not going to Close Combat very specifically. Poison Jab always kills. I was originally going to teach X Scissor because Sneasler learns that by TM, but Poison Jab just kills anyway, so we're just going to do that. Now, Sneasler is faster than the remaining 3 Pokemon, Zygarde, Suicune, and regular Salamence that will be Mega. Okay, so Zygarde sees a slow kill with 1,000 arrows. If I got crit and didn't have a Shed Shell by Close Combat, there was a chance I baited Dragon Claw. So that is why we needed Shed Shell. Always Zygarde. This is always 1,000 arrows. Now, this is why Latios is pre-damaged. 231 HP. We are never dead to 1,000 arrows crit. Max roll is 208. It can never click a Dragon Claw. We're just gonna go hard Latios on the 1,000 arrows. Shell Bell. Yeah, I think I said Shed Shell. Sorry. We never died a crit here. Nor does it matter. We're gonna click Ice Beam. This has a Haban Berry, which makes Dragon type moves weaker for one Dragon move. Draco Meteor doesn't kill, so we're gonna Ice Beam. Now, this next turn is exactly why I needed to be pre-damaged. How the AI works when you have a choice item is it sees that it doesn't see that you're choiced until it's in. So for example, if I had I guess it works here, right? Draco Meteor outspeeds and 2-hit KOs the Suicune, which normally would mean it can't set up. But now that it's in, it sees that I'm locked into Ice Beam, so it could set up. That was the thing I had to dodge, essentially. And if it's set up, we wiped, and there's nothing I can do about it. That wasn't a range. So, this is always Ice Beam. And this is where you guys may not be super happy with me. We have to say goodbye to one of our friends. We have to say goodbye to one of our pals. And it's unfortunately going to be Komo-O. Because I don't need him for the champion. Although he would help. But everybody press 07 for Komo-O. That reversal sweep on Glacia was awesome. I'm always at Ice Beam here. He can't set up. Goodbye, buddy. You were amazing. I'm glad I could build this team and put you on it. We're doing a 5 Machamp. Intentionally. You could live this. Alright, man. See the Scald range? Bye, bud. We'll see you in Valhalla. Now, we go into Sceptile. This is one of the biggest reasons why Sceptile is here. Sceptile at 84 HP exactly is an Overgrow. We have an Eject Pack, or Faster. If you don't know what an Eject Pack does, when your stats get dropped, it switches you out. All that's left is Suicune and Salamence. So we're gonna Leaf Storm the Suicune, always kill, since we're in Overgrow. This is why Sceptile's been poisoned the entire time, among other things that we'll get to. And since my special attack gets dropped, we exit out into Latios, who's still holding a Choice Scarf, who now outspeeds and kills Mega Salamence. And that's Drake. That's Drake. All of this to set up that. I'll drop a Draco for the boys. And we're going to Wallace. That scared the shit out of me! I forgot he was Mega. I thought he was faster. We love you, Komo-O. We love you. City, that was superb work. Putting an end to that crisis all by yourself. It wouldn't be fair to say that you alone ended the crisis. You overcame that difficult situation by working as one with your Pokemon. We trainers raise Pokemon by giving them items and by teaching them new techniques for battle. Reversal. But we ourselves also learn many things from Pokemon. And this is where your achievements are put to the test against what others like you have achieved. Now, who can most elegantly dance with their Pokemon in Hoenn? Show me right here and now. Let's go! Okay! Oh my god, one fight left! Last fight of the game! March 17th, 2023! Oh my god, okay. Kyogre! This is a primal Kyogre! It's basically Kyogre but fat! Sneasler! It's your time! You've served so much, please! Please. Fake out. Always does 18.2 min. Close combat, always kills. Always kills. Goodbye, Kyogre. This always baits Bascu Legion. If this clicks Liquidation, it's 50-50. If this clicks Liquidation, we win. We win the entire game. We beat the game if this clicks Liquidation. If it clicks Flip Turn, it's not over. Show me Liquidation. Now, you know what? Show me Flip Turn. I want it to be exciting. Show me Flip Turn. We're going to abuse something in this game where, I don't know if it's vanilla. I think it is. Only one Pokemon can eject at a time when using something like Emergency Exit or Flip Turn. If this Flip Turns and I go Golisopod, I get exited out and he stays in and he's still locked into Flip Turn. But if it Liquidations, it's checkmate. And we're not done. Okay. We're not done. Okay. This, depending on his crit rolls, could fuck me. It could completely fuck me. Okay, we're gonna go into Latios. That's not Latios. Latios is always, it always lives a Liquidation crit. Always. It's gonna go into, I think, for the love of God, Goodra. I think it goes Goodra when it Flip Turns. It's still locked in. We always Draco Meteor. We're gonna get some chip on Goodra. It's still Choice Banded, remember guys. 178 looks good. We get some chip. Latios cannot die here. We need it to live. Okay. This is why I taught Rock Smash, because not every roll of Heavy Slam kills me. but most of them do. We're gonna go hard Urshifu, who dismantles this thing. If it curses, I think we still kill. That's also fine. Doesn't matter. I didn't even realize it could do that. Whatever. Now, I just have to think about this. When I close combat this, I will be dropped. My defense will be dropped, and it will always bait Barraskewda. This is where the fiction comes in. This has 12.5% chance, 12.5% chance to use a flip turn. And if it does, it's still fine. It's still fine. It is still okay. Okay. It's still okay. Dude, I can't breathe. Oh my god. Okay, this is Skewda. We're gonna sucker punch it. It doesn't kill. Crit can. And if that happens, it's totally fine. Okay. Goodbye, Urshifu. You've been amazing. You've been so good. You've been so good. Okay. Galisabot, you're picking up your first KO of the E4. Send it. Give him a little kiss. This bait's Palkia. It's always Palkia. Palkia always has a kill with Draco Meteor. I think we did it. I think it's over. I think it's checkmate. Dude, I think it's checkmate. Okay. Goodbye, Galisapon. You are so good. You are so good. Best mod in the game. Come on. Goodbye, buddy. Okay. Latios is Choice Scarf, so we always outspeed this. That should always make Manaphy. I'm like very, very certain on that. I just need to double check. It's fine. It's fine. I'm just making sure because I like can't fucking breathe right now. I'm so nervous. Okay, -2. Swampert regular is slower than me and out damages, but same with Manaphy. So this should always be Manaphy. Always. Goodbye. Here comes Manaphy. 2 left. Yes! Yes! Okay. If this tail glows, it doesn't matter. If this crits, it doesn't matter. Perfect. Okay, this doesn't kill, but if it crits, it does. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's all good. Goodbye, Latino. Now, we have our checkmate. Sceptile with a Salac Berry that I could not go Choice Scarf because I needed it on Latios. Sceptile with a Salac Berry. In Overgrow. 51 HP. +1 speed. Maximum speed. Leaf Storm. Always kills this. Always. Send it. And the beautiful part is at -2 special attack, I still kill the Swampert. I still kill the Swampert at -2 special attack. And we're done. We beat the game. We beat the game. Oh my god. Come on. Don't misclick, you fucking idiot. We did it. We did it! We did it. We did it! This always kills. Let's go! Let's go! Yes! March 17th, 2023 is when I started playing this game. 327 attempts later. We did it. We fucking did it. I was talking to Iceblade today, one of my mods, and he said, without counting any time I've played during subathons, 257 streams featuring Run and Bun, with 1,536.7 hours, not including subathons, and we've finally done it. This has been the most fun game I have ever played on this channel. I've been streaming for quite a while now. Done all sorts of Nuzlocks. Nothing hit quite like this one. Nothing's shown me quite the amount of support like this one. Let's fucking go. Say hi, YouTube. Sneasler. Urshifu. Golisopod. Sceptile. Komo-o. And Latios. I'm gonna sniffing tool this. We did it. I have never felt more proud of myself than I have with my streaming journey with this game. So thank you guys for all being here. It means literally the world to me. I really can't express just how much this whole journey means to me. I want to give a massive thanks to my community and my friends. None of this would be possible without you guys. And of course, a massive shout out to the creator of Run and Bun, Dexa. This game genuinely has changed my life. Run and Bun and Nuzlocking in general means the world to me. And this last year and a half has been some of the most passion and energy and love I've really put into anything in my life. I really hope you all enjoyed. I stream pretty much every single day over on Twitch, and I'd really recommend checking me out and dropping a follow. I do Nuzlocks just like this one all the time. I'm terrible at YouTube outros, but thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.